7:01. We're ready back there, Steve? Okay, Jazz? Ready? Okay, the board met in closed session this evening at 5:30 PM to discuss matters that fall under the following categories that are exceptions to the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Personnel matters, exception C1, specific personnel appointment, employment, compensation, performance, dismissals, and legal matters, exception C11, actual or threatened litigation. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to go into open session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Ramirez? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carried. We are now in open session, and just for the record, Board Member Ramirez will not be here tonight for medical reasons. At this point, I'd like to ask if Mr. Riddle would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Absolutely.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Next item on the agenda, item 6, opportunity for public comment. A sign-up sheet, Steve? Okay, when I call your name, please come up to the podium, state your full name, and you will be given 3 minutes to address the board. Are we ready? We have the timer ready? There we go. Okay, Linda Unda.
Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, and community members. My name is Linda Unda. I am the president of the Waukegan Professional Support Staff Council and a community member. I'm here today to speak in support of my colleague, Guadalupe Ceja Hernandez, who is facing an unjust termination. She is a longtime resident of Waukegan and a proud graduate of Waukegan schools. She now works for our district as the switchboard, communication specialist, and parent support clerk, serving students, families, and staff of our District 60 staff every day. She is a DACA recipient who arrived in the United States when she was only 3 months old. Guadalupe has diligently renewed her status as instructed by federal authorities. She has done everything right and on time. But now federal processing delays have disrupted this regular process due to delays in managing their backlog paperwork. While she waits to hear back on her most recent application for renewal, District 60 administration is making the choice to use this temporary federal backlog to remove a valued employee rather than stand by her in this vulnerable and unprecedented moment. Let's be clear, there is nothing that legally requires the district to terminate an employee while her application is pending. The district can extend her temporary suspension until her paperwork is approved, or they can grant Guadalupe a leave of absence. Instead, Guadalupe was given 39 minutes to decide between resigning on the spot or being terminated at this very board meeting. Our district talks a lot about equity and access, yet here we are denying both because our federal government isn't handling paperwork in a timely manner. So I'm here to ask, will District 60 support the very people it educates and employs? Will you lead with compassion and fairness? We urge you, do not make a rush decision, irreversible decision that will impact Guadalupe the rest of her life because of a technicality that's out of her control. Show this community that District 60 stands with its community members, especially in their most vulnerable moments, and grant Guadalupe the extension she deserves so she can continue serving the community she has always called home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Unda. Andy Freelieb.
Hello, Ms. Placencia, President Rodriguez, and the school board, and the Waukegan community. I am Andy Freelieb, and I'm president of the Waukegan Teachers Council, but I am also the president and currently representing over 6,700 members of the Wake County Federation of Teachers, which has over 1,600 members who are your employees and over 800 people who live in Waukegan. I'm not here to talk about the grievance you are voting on tonight, but I'm sure that the Waukegan Teachers Council will return soon enough to discuss that matter. Instead, I'm here to ask you to not terminate the employment of a DACA recipient because the federal government is working at a snail's pace to approve a renewal of a DACA worker permit. The reason permit has not been renewed is because of a slowdown based on President Trump's feeling for people who are different from him. The Waukegan Professional Support Staff Council has brought other legal avenues for you to pursue while waiting for the renewal. The member has done everything possible to try and continue to be part of the WPS community and notified the district of her status long ago. She is a well-liked and a friendly member of the community who has been putting her all into this community for the last 6 years as an employee, longer as just a citizen. Every time you terminate someone from our school district prematurely based on paperwork, you show that your concern is not with your employees. Therefore, I'm asking you to either table the termination until you can work with the Waukegan Professional Support Staff Council to reach an adequate process or an agreement to keep the member employed, or simply vote no on the recommended action. The community is watching on YouTube right now, and people will see how you voted on the matter. Make the right and just decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Friedlieb. Dulce Ortiz?
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dulce Ortiz. I'm the Executive Director at Mano a Mano Family Resource Center. And as many of you know, Mano a Mano has been at the forefront in supporting families that have been negatively impacted by the cruelty of this administration's immigration enforcement activities. I see familiar faces before me, and you have stood with us at press conferences, at rallies. Some of you I've known for more than 2 decades in doing great work with our criminal justice system. And we have been calling out the horrific actions and policies that have been used to terrorize and destabilize our families and our community. And today is no different. And I'm calling on the board to stand with us. I don't know how it feels to be a DACA recipient, but I know how it feels to be undocumented, because I too came here as a child. Like you all before me, now I have the privilege of not worrying about being a second-class citizen that is undocumented or that has to rely on a work permit to provide for our families. Mano a Mano has been sounding the alarm since earlier this year. We've been warning our elected officials, partners, and community members about the delays we had been seeing with DACA renewal applications, where the Trump administration has been purposely delaying DACA application renewals with the intent for DACA recipients to lose their jobs and self-deport. Our organization has seen a significant increase of community members losing their jobs, their careers, their certifications, at no fault of their own. I'm also a proud Waukegan Public School parent. My son graduated from Waukegan High School, and my daughters are 5 and 8, and I can see Soleil's principal here in the audience, Principal Andy. And I understand that the district must comply with federal employment requirements. This request is not asking the board to disregard the law, but rather to exercise reasonable discretion and compassion in response to extraordinary circumstances. The current delay is not the result of negligence or misconduct on the employee's part, and termination would not solve the underlying issue of federal processing delays. It would simply transfer the burden of those delays onto an individual and their families. This DACA recipient is not the first nor the last facing these difficulties. There are other DACA recipients employed by the district that may face the same fate. The district has an opportunity to demonstrate its commitment to fairness, equity, and the well-being of its employees by allowing additional time for the work authorization renewal to be processed. Extending the deadline would recognize the realities facing DACA recipients while maintaining respect for legal requirements and due process. At a time when many immigrant families feel increasingly vulnerable, acts of fairness and humanity matter. We respectfully ask the board to consider every available option to retain this employee while their renewal remains pending, and to provide the greatest flexibility possible during this period. Let us not forget, we are here today because of the cruelty of the Trump administration and the lack of congressional action in 40 years to address our broken immigration system. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Kalman Resnick?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. My name is Kalman Resnick. I'm an attorney speaking on behalf of the Illinois Federation of Teachers. For more than 50 years, I have practiced immigration, labor, and employment law. I am here to explain why Local 504 is asking the board not to discharge Guadalupe Ceja Hernandez, who has been employed at the district's Lincoln Center office for more than 6 years. Guadalupe was born in Mexico in 1993 and brought to the United States by her parents when she was just 3 months old. She has resided in Waukegan ever since. She attended District 60 schools, graduating from Washington High School in 2012. In 2012, after President Obama created the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, Guadalupe applied for and was granted DACA status and employment authorization. Every 2 years since, Guadalupe has successfully renewed her DACA status and employment authorization. On December 12, 2025, she applied for an extension of her DACA status and employment authorization, which was due to expire on April 24, 2026. She timely applied in accordance with the posted instructions of the USCIS, which recommended that DACA renewal applications be filed between 120 days and 150 days before the expiration date. Her applications are still pending only because the Trump administration is deliberately delaying the adjudication of DACA renewal applications as part of its hostility to immigrants and immigrant communities. After her DACA-based employment authorization expired on April 24th, the district suspended her pending the approval of her extension applications. With Local 504's assistance, Guadalupe asked Senator Durbin for assistance in securing the approval of her pending application. Senator Durbin's office has advised me that the USCIS was adjudicating last week DACA renewal applications filed during the first week of December 2025, and that Guadalupe's application should be approved in the near future. Federal immigration laws do not require that District 60 fire Guadalupe, but only that she not be employed until her employment authorization renewal is approved. Rather than discharge an employee with such an excellent work record, Local 504 is asking the district to either extend Guadalupe's suspension or grant her a leave of absence so she can return to her District 60 job as soon as the USCIS approves her DACA applications. District 60 should not be discharging Guadalupe just because the Trump administration is deliberately delaying the adjudication of DACA extension applications as part of its attack on the rights of immigrants and
Thank you, Mr.
immigrant
Resnick.
communities.
Yvonne Fulton?
Thank you.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, colleagues, and community. I have stood in front of students and told them, speak up for what you believe, advocate for yourself when it's uncomfortable, even when it's scary. I have lived by the same motto nearly 17 years while working in this district. I love this community. I love these students, and that love is exactly why I'm standing here today. I understand budget constraints. Last year, I cut my department's budget by more than a half. I didn't complain. I adapted because that's what I do. But I need that same standard and fairness applied across the board. I was told no agenda items could move forward until the FY27 budget was approved. I may not have agreed and I voiced my concerns, but what I can do when I'm told one thing and I see another thing happening. I have watched other items, including FY27 items, come before this board. There are items on tonight's docket right now. I am not here speaking for special treatment. I'm asking to be treated fairly and the rules to be applied equally to everyone. I believe in the chain of command, but when the chain of command does not protect everyone equally, where do we go? Who do we ask without feeling if we speak up, the people in the positions of power have the authority to block or control what moves forward? You are right, President Rodriguez. We have amazing students. I never hear otherwise. Our departments build programs that connect students to businesses, colleges, and community partners. Real-world opportunities can change these students' future. One of those programs was delayed for months. Wait. We did not reach this board until nearly November for a program built to launch in August. And that same program is being stalled again. I want you to understand what indecision actually costs. We have a partner with substantial resources, connections, and a genuine commitment to our students who is ready to invest in the district in a meaningful way. The delays and lack of clear direction really pushed her out the door. We almost lost her. And had we lost her, the students would lose opportunities they never knew was even on the table. I'm not asking for my ideas to always win. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm asking to be held to the same standard as my peers. No more or less. Give me a yes or no. I can work with that, either of them, yes or no. What I cannot work with is a silence disguised as this is the process. Once I get a direct answer, I can pivot. I can inform partners, venues, families, students, because scheduling and logistics is a nightmare. And plus, my words and my reputation mean everything to me in this community. I did not come to this district by accident. God placed me here. But I am exhausted, mentally drained, not because of lack of passion, but because I love this work too much to watch me be undermined by indecision and unfairness. 17 years of fighting for what is right, what has been broken. A lot of people I'm not, most because there are students that are worth the battle. So before I come tonight with one simple request, see me, hear me, value my contributions and expertise to this community and this district, not a favor, as a right.
Thank you, Ms. Fulton. Next item on the agenda, item 7, purchases and contracts. Come on.
I'll put you on it. Well, you're not next, but I'll put your name on the list.
Okay, go ahead, come on.
Wait, is he next?
It's not on the
I'm
list.
sorry, you are. You're the last one. Go ahead, Ray.
Good evening, community members. Tonight I came here because I seen something on the board. I seen that the union was coming here to speak on behalf of a peer professional. But I want to ask the same union, sir, whoever it is, I've seen many people look like me with issues with this district. And I didn't see this union come up here with clothes on. I didn't see y'all come with signs. I didn't see y'all come with no push. And tonight I want to come to ask what the difference was, Mr. Andy. Because I've reached out to you guys to sit down. I told you guys that staff members was being placed in a district jail in a room with a chair and a desk. And it was people that looked like me, but nobody cared. So tonight I'm going to say to this board, unfortunately for that young lady, she didn't get her paperwork in and things like that. But we're talking about breaking the law. You want to pay for somebody insurance and all of that until things get right to be able to work? No, you don't get to use taxpayer dollars like that. Why is that okay? And I don't think anybody really understands that y'all are the ones with these concepts and these things that is dividing this community. Because when somebody come up and look like me and say something like this, that I don't agree with her being paid or kept until things are right, then it looks like I'm racist or I'm against the Latino population. And that's the furthest from the truth. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And when policies, procedures, laws, whether we like them or agree with them, when they are in place, we have to follow them. You don't get to make no exceptions because we don't do that for people that look like me, and I'm frustrated tonight. I'm in class and I just left class so I can come attend this. That's how important this is for me and to this community. When we show up for one, we got to show up for all. You ain't gonna show up for all, don't show up for one, y'all. Because that's wrong. And our kids are watching. They are seeing this. They understand what's going on, and it is affecting them. We are making too many special treatments for a certain group of people in this community, y'all. And we are frustrated, we are tired, and we are fed up. So I'm asking this board tonight to do the right thing. Do what you know supposed to be right. Okay? And that's the bottom line. You didn't make exceptions for some and others. I don't want to see no exception made tonight. The last thing that I've got to say, Mr. Carlos, I don't think he's up in here. I met him for the first time. We done made him the assistant principal of Brookside. This what we doing? No qualifications to be in that position, but we put him there. We gonna forget all of the mess that he caused in his district. And that's what we seem like we are reward people. When they cause friction, we reward them.
Thank you,
Y'all
sir.
got to do better.
Would you please state your name for the
My
record?
name is Rayon Edwards, sir, everybody.
Everybody knows you, but we have to record it. Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on. Next item, purchases and contracts.
It is the recommendation that of the administration that the Board of Education approve the purchase of student school supplies for the back-to-school resource fair in the amount not to exceed $84,659.
We have motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Fabienne. We have a second?
We can't discuss it until we put it in.
No second? Motion dies for a second, for lack of a second.
Okay.
Onward. 7B, teacher vacancy grant amendment.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the teacher vacancy grant amendment and contract with Bloom Board in the amounts of $100,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Riddle. Second by Ms. Lending. Any discussion on this motion? We have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah? Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Mr. McBride? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. Item 8, personal items. A is attendance at school boards for academic excellence conference.
It is the recommendation of the Board of Education to approve the attendance of 2 board members at the School Boards for Academic Excellence Conference in Charleston, South Carolina, from June 23rd to June 26, 2026, at the approximate total cost of $3,600. The cost includes registration, lodging, airfare, transportation, and per diem.
A motion to approve.
My motion.
Motion by Ms. Fabian. There's second. Second by Mr. McBride. Discussion on the motion?
I would like to reiterate a comment that I made previously, that when we're looking to approve board member professional development, especially with the fiscal times that we're facing and the decreased federal funding we're receiving, that we be mindful of the conferences that we're going to. So if we are sending these 2 board members to attend this conference, then I expect the board members to use discretion on future conferences and what makes sense and the financial impact on the district.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes. I also agree with what Ms. Lensing just said, and I'll be voting no on this because the only conference I think that the board needs to attend is the III conference in November because of the fiscal impact that our district is facing. And I just think it's a non-essential. Although it's a very good conference, I believe it's non-essential at this difficult time that we're in.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
No.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. Item 8B, personal items 6926.
I am going to ask for some grace on this because we have a number of adjusted, I'm just going to say amendments to this. So it is a recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirements, termination, and accept the resignations as found on schedules L949, G660, T317, except the 5th name on schedule L949, AZ resignation, certified staff, Can I read this?
Do that first.
We'd also like to separate the first name on the schedule of F102, administrative appointments to be acted on separately. Demisha Bolus Hartman. And once the board makes the recommendation, I'd like to read something into the record before we take the vote.
We need to make a motion to separate it.
I already did it.
Okay.
We need a first.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the personal items for 6/9/26. Motion by Ms.
Second.
Anna, second by Ms. Lindsay. Any discussion on the motion? Superintendent?
Tonight, the Board of Education is being asked to consider a recommendation regarding the employment status of a district staff member. Because this is a personnel matter, we must respect the employee privacy and cannot discuss all the details publicly. This recommendation is based solely on the district's obligation to comply with federal employment laws requiring all employees to maintain a valid authorization to work in the United States. We recognize that this situation is difficult and deeply personal, and we do not take it lightly. We understand the concerns raised and the impact that this decision may have on the individual and those who care about them. At the same time, it is the district's responsibility to apply employment requirements consistently and without discrimination. We are grateful for this employee and the service this employee has brought to the district. And if work authorization is secured in the future, this individual would be eligible to apply for available positions for which they are qualified.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Do you want me to go before?
Ms.
You're
Lindsay?
ready or you need, okay. I'm gonna try not to cry. I think this is something that has been a struggle for Waukegan on multiple fronts, dealing with this federal administration. And I just want to say that I wholeheartedly disagree with how President Trump and his administration address immigration, address DACA, address undocumented individuals in this country. There's a complete disregard for the humanity behind the concern that we have. I also see this is the direct impact of our Congress not making progress or taking action, right? Had they gotten this organized, we wouldn't be in this position. The last thing we want in our community is to have that negatively impact us and our families. However, I do agree with the superintendent's statement. We do have to, one, follow the law and be indiscriminatory in that. So while it is very frustrating to have to vote yes to this, I think I can speak for many of the board members. We understand the plight and the difficulty of the situation, and our hearts are with you. I'm hopeful that it gets wrapped up pretty quickly so that it moves along, but unfortunately, I do have to vote yes.
Ms. Fabian?
And again, I'm going to read because it's very, when I talk off script, I get a little more emotional, so please excuse me. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, being a daughter of an immigrant, and really working a lot with this issue. First, I want to commend the union and the community for their passion in supporting one of our own. I am sure that I'm not the only one that takes comfort in knowing that we are all concerned for the well-being of one individual. However, on the flip side, I am also concerned that the very public comments made here today and on social media may have also jeopardized that individual because their status is now exposed, especially knowing that this community has been a target of federal agents. I always encourage advocacy. However, we also must be mindful at what costs. The community entrusted me and my fellow board members to not only vote and move in accordance with policy, school code, state and federal law, but to also vote our conscience for the collective preservation of the district. I fully understand the unjust immigration laws and the broken system. Yet I do not want to expose our district or our families to legal, financial, and social repercussions or create new precedents that will create negative consequence. Instead, I will continue to advocate for social change translated into systemic changes in our laws, our federal agenda. We are in unprecedented times, and we are also in a moment where we can change history and impact the future through your civic action. Vote if you can, don't silence your voice. Call your legislators, ask for immigration reform, ask that current due processes be followed, and that the attacks of hate and division on minority communities end. Hold our federal government accountable. I myself have worked with the individual and want to assure them that this isn't personal and that they are valued. I was also a union steward, and I appreciate the union for all the work that they do and how they support their members. I stand with our immigrant community and the Waukegan community at large. And with that in mind, I am voting to protect the overall health of the district and community that I serve, and I hope to welcome back this individual soon.
Thank you. Any further comments? Mr. McBride.
The individual we're speaking about, I want to say personally, I think I'm responsible for her being here working because she had a hard time trying to achieve the test that the union have in place, the secretary test, where you have to type so many words per minute. And I think she tried about 20 times. Never was succeeded. But just because I did not know she's been here since she was 3 years old. I did have no idea. But regardless.
3 months.
But no, she's been here longer than 3 months.
No, since she was 3 months old.
Oh, well, 3 months old. Yeah, that's even better than 3 years. But I'm saying that the decision that have to make is hard for me because again, and she knows that I fought dearly because she could not really get over the hump of that test, but she finally got it. And so it's just a hard decision for me. And but once again, there are laws. I have to follow the laws. And again, if I don't follow the law under these circumstances, I would love to be able to hold this over. But at the same time, there is laws that we have to follow. But one thing for sure, I can guarantee you that was already said. Once this does happen and she get her papers, she's coming back here to work. And then there were questions and buts about it. As soon as it happens, I don't care if it be a year from now, 2 months from now, she's coming back to work. Her job is still secured. That's how I feel about that.
Right.
So I'm starting to say it all I need to say.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, I just want to say that you can see by the comments of my fellow board members that everyone on this board cares deeply about everybody in our community, and especially the person tonight who's going to be affected by the action that the board has to take. Understand, again, as Ms. Fabian says, it is not personal. We have to follow the law, and we have to take the action that is best for our district and the continued value that we put in our community, I guess that's all I need to say. That everyone here cares about everybody in our community, and we definitely feel bad about what is happening in our society today. So understand that we are doing what we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Fabian?
Unfortunately, yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing? Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Unfortunately, yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. Personal items 8C. Oh,
Yeah, we have admins.
we have another.
Yeah, that's fine.
We have
That
another
makes
one,
sense.
yes. That sheet of paper, the motions.
Sorry, Steve.
Can we take a pause to allow?
Oh.
Sorry, can we take a pause to allow for the crowd to dissipate for a bit?
when she graduated.
Okay, we're looking for a motion.
It is the recommendation of the board to approve the appointment of Ms. Demisha Bolas Hartman as set forth on Schedule F1002, Administrative Appointments.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Fabian. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please. Roll call vote.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
No.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. Personal items 8C.
Is she?
Oh, we have the appointment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Christopher Duran, who previously served as the manager of K-8 Sports at Brookside Campus. He will now be the manager of Academic and Sports Administration K through 12 at the Brookside Campus with a starting salary of $75,000. Congratulations, Mr. Duran. Is Mr. Duran in the? No? Okay. Our next appointment will be Ms. Laura Brychek, who previously served as the assistant principal at Greenwood Elementary School. She will now serve as the principal of Greenwood Elementary. Can we correct with a starting salary of $89,600. Congratulations, Ms. Brychek.
Sorry, before we continue, can you pronounce your name?
Rakovich.
Okay, I'm sorry. Rakovich. That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you for catching that, Ms. Fabian.
She has a fan club.
Right. Our next appointment will be Ms. Shannon Lindsay, who previously served as a coordinator of pre-K through 8 literacy. She will now serve as a principal of Washington Elementary with a starting salary of $89,600. Congratulations, Ms. Lindsay.
Congratulations.
Our next appointment, which I just found out previously, who lived in Waukegan and attended schools in Waukegan, is Ms. Claudia Ramirez, who previously served as the assistant principal at Whittier Elementary School. She will now serve as the principal of Whittier Elementary School with a starting salary of $89,600. Welcome home.
Congratulations.
Now it is my pleasure to introduce our new principal at the Washington campus, Ms. Demetria Bolas Hartman, who previously served as an assistant principal at Chicago Public Schools. She will now serve as the co-principal at the Washington campus with a starting salary of $142,000. Congratulations, Ms. Bolas Hartman.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations, all. ILL.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Item 8C, step 3 grievances, graduate credit, teachers, number 2026-11, and psychologist, number 2026-12.
It is,
04.
I'm sorry, Mr.
But
I apologize, I thought you were done. It is recommended that the Board of Education deny at step 3 the graduate credit grievances filed by the Teachers Union, grievance number 2026-11, and the Psychologists Union grievance number 2026-4, and approve joining them with the existing step 4 arbitration of the teacher grievance number 2026-08. Graduate credits and direct the superintendent as the board secretary to notify the respective unions of decision in writing within 5 school days.
Motion to approve.
motion approved by Mr. Riddle. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. Item 9A, financial reports.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the 1st June 2026 of board bills, mayor check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of May 20, 2026 through June 2nd, 2026. The accounts payable board payments for the period of May 2026 through June 2nd through 2026 total $0. The manual check request payments for the period of May 2026 through June 2nd, 2026 total $0. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of May 2026 through June 2nd, 2026, total $17,341.97.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Pass.
Ms. Lensing?
Pass.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. Finance reports 9B.
It is the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to obtain through West Insurance Agency 2 bonds from the insurance carrier Ohio Casualty Insurance, including the treasurer bonds, for a total not to exceed $1,363 for the treasurer's bond and $77,565 for the surety bond through June 10th, 2027.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, can,
Ms. Hannah.
can we get, I don't see Ms. Polk here, but can we get, maybe Mr. LaWosa to kind of, explain this, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Luosa,
You have a microphone, Mr. Loza? So you come up.
he's going to come
Yeah.
up
Okay.
here to the podium.
Good evening. The 1,363, that's for a treasurer's bond. It's required every year for her to be a treasurer, and it needs to be filed with Roe. The other one is for the surety bond. That's based on the bond issues that we had, the two $14 to $15 million bond issues we had recently. And we have to, she has to be bonded for that. So that's what that is.
That's all this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion,
Just,
Mr. Riddle?
it seems like an awful lot for a surety bond, though. Why, is it based on a percentage? Is that
It's
what
a
it is?
certain percentage
Okay.
of the $28 to $29 million of
Okay.
bond proceeds that we have.
Okay, that's why it's so high. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anybody else? Ms.
Sorry, can we clarify what you mean by issues?
So we had two bond issues. One was in.
I apologize to cut you off, Mr. Luosa. We're using a different definition of it. I got it. I'm on the same page.
Okay.
Yep, no, I'm on it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
No.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. LaWosa.
Item 10, old business, school year 27 school improvement plans.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the school improvement plans for 2026 through 27 school year.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I have a question. I know that we are in a financial
kind of a financial place where we have to be concerned about all the money we spend and so forth. However, there was a promise that was made, and at this, what we're getting ready to vote on right now, the promise was broken. And that promise was not to cut anything that that was directly related to students. And so I also would like to know what were the things that were cut out of the school improvement plans that have been provided to us before, because everything that I saw that that the different schools and principals requested, they were for students, and I don't understand how this was done, and there were other things that could have been cut before we got to cutting school improvement plans. And if that, in my opinion, we kind of went out of, because the non-essential cuts could have possibly lowered the amount of cuts that had to be cut out of school improvement plans. So I really would like to know what was cut out of the school improvement plans. I'm asking for that information.
So if you're, I want to make sure we're tracking together. And so we're talking about the school budgets, correct, Ms. Hannah, that are supporting the school improvement plans? Is that?
No, ma'am. I want to know what was cut out of the different principals' school improvement plans that were presented to us.
So what we looked at, what we have been looking at this past week is school budgets, district budgets, department budgets, etc. So if you want me to speak to that, I can speak to that, which you are going to see a presentation at the next budget workshop. And so I don't want to cut you off if I can finish. So in looking at this week, and I believe last week, am I correct? And we did invite board members to sit through some of the process of looking at budgets. And so I personally, along with Gwen, Brian, Dr. Cesario, and LeBaron at times, I personally, Gwen and Brian and I have sat in on all budgets. And we did not cut, I want to be very clear, direct services. So when it comes to tutoring, when it comes to after-school programming. However, what we did do is we looked at how they were using the money that they were requesting, and if there was an intentional plan based off data with attendance numbers, participation rates, and tied to academic improvement. And I can tell you that there have been 2 board members. I believe Mr. McBride sat through majority of all of them. I know Ms. Fabian joined on a few. And so we did look for duplication, which we found a number of duplications. We cut out new initiatives that may have been on PD. But when you talk about direct services, I would need an example of that. This is the first phase, and I believe this is more important. This is the first, well, I can't say first phase because we've been looking at a number of things as we move along. The next phase of this that we will be looking at is people, because the request from the board and from the recap that I watched from our board meeting is to right-size the district and to ensure, and I'm using the word right-size, to ensure that we have the appropriate staff in front of students and not overage, to ensure that our classrooms are, I don't want to say at maximum, but that are not at, for lack of a better word, lower level numbers, in the sense of half of the allocation for classroom numbers per teacher. So we are going through all of that. The board will be given a very detailed report at the next budget meeting, and I believe that that is next week, and where you will see all that.
Okay, and so we will hear specifically.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hannon. Anybody else? Lindsay?
I guess I'm lost on the last couple of sentences, so bear with me, community, as my brain's not fully functioning. So when you say we're going to get the specifics, what are we getting the specifics on?
So we are going to, when we come back, so we're still building out the deck in complete transparency, Ms. Lindsay.
Okay.
So what you're going to see is how much money we saved, what we looked at, like supplies.
Okay.
What we found in budgets, and your colleagues, some of your colleagues here sat on this, is that we've seen duplications of supplies, right?
Yeah.
20,000 asked here, another 40,000 here. So why is it in two places?
Yeah.
What are you buying? How can we streamline it? A request to the principals is something I have stated over and over again, is to go in those closets, see what's there, look at how many markers, what we have going on, et cetera, and things like that. What we did cut, though, is if schools, and I can give you an example, direct services is if they were buying a notepad for each student in the school building, we asked, let's see what we have in stock. We cut that right now. We asked to see if we get a lot of donations on notebooks, pens, and papers. How can we redistribute that so we're not incurring that cost? So you'll see things like that. I don't want to hold me to, like, we're still building this out.
Okay.
Like when we come back though, you'll see what we look. You'll also see that we may have, I'm going to hold on that because
Okay.
I don't want to spread.
Can I ask a clarifying
And then-
question? Hold on, because what I'm hearing is, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. What you're building now is refining the school improvement plans that we're voting on, or a summary of the process that Mr. McBride and Ms. Fabian were able to attend?
And I'm going to let the areas to, so this is the strategy. The school improvement plans is a strategy,
Yeah.
and there's a budget tied to
Yeah.
that. The strategy is still the same.
Okay.
The budget to support it may have shifted.
Okay, because there are some direct services that I'm aware of at one of our elementary schools. It's a kids after school program where they were doing tutoring and supports with kids and parents picked them up later. So that to me is, we cut direct services.
I'm going to, so offline, I'd like to speak what
Yeah.
school that is.
Sure.
Now, if there was not an intentional plan, so I've seen clubs that had one teacher to 5 students. We're not financing that. There's just not the enrollment there, right?
Okay.
So I have been meeting with principals. Actually, I'm meeting with more tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I'm personally looking at those plans and how they're looking at monies. I sat with the principal yesterday. They had like 15 clubs when we looked at what the attendance was and how many participation rate and the amount for that club. One of them may have had 8 students. We cannot fund that. And actually that's showing that there's not interest in that club. Could it be placed other places? We can't pick that up.
Okay.
Again.
And
I would ask, my ask to the board, if there's a specific question on a school, a program, or a cut, that if you just ask me that, then I can give you the information on did it happen and why it happened and what was the logic behind it. Ms. Fabian has her hand up.
Did you want?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
I'm
can-
sorry.
Good evening, Superintendent, Board President, and members of the board. Ms. Hannah, I think you've asked an important question in terms of budget as it relates to school improvement priorities. I want to just clarify that within the school improvement planning process, there are 2 pieces. One is the instructional priorities that a school is focusing on, and the second is the budget. And the 2 of them are sort of running side by side, and both are fluid and can be adapted and voted on by the board at any point. And so school improvement plans, the instructional priorities, is tied to budget, but is it's the huge part of this. So what the board would be voting on is, are the instructional priorities as outlined by the schools appropriate to the individual schools based on data? And then what are the financial resources that are available that can then be put at play to support those instructional priorities? And within the school improvement plans themselves, there are direct funds that go to the school, that the school principal along with the school community determine how they want to allocate that. But then there's also indirect funds that are, for instance, through the ASAP department and the different training that is provided for principals or for school teachers. And so those are indirect expenses that will support school improvement plans, but are not directly linked in an individual school's budget.
Okay,
Ms.
thank you.
Fabian had her hand up.
I wanted to,
You have
Go
another?
ahead, Ms. Fabian.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Go ahead.
And my attendance was because I was working with children, teaching children how to paint.
Thank you, Ms.
Ms.
Hannah.
Hannah did state that.
Ms. Fabian.
And the kids loved it.
And the kids loved it.
So if you look on the slide, there's actually the link of the school code where this comes from. And I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. Part of creating the school improvement plan is to also consult with the parents and the community. I have asked several times to see where in the process our parents and our community have been involved. It's still not there. I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I have no evidence that it happened, because on all of these plans, I'm looking at the team members, and not in any of them am I finding there's a parent or a community member. That is my frustration. I am going to vote yes, because I understand as a school leader the limited time that you have in order to plan out your school year. And so they need to have their goals set and their strategies set so they can do that proper planning. I am disappointed, though, that I did not receive that information, and that this is not the first year that I make the same statement. And it's written clearly for you all to see that you must be including parents and community representatives. So,
And not to add on, it was held, sorry, and not to
And
add
that's
on,
why
but
it
it
was
was
held
held over to
for that
have
purpose.
that address.
And also there later on in the committee meetings, we're going to be being asked to approve someone to come in to work with school improvement. We're going to be paying someone when in fact that we could get those services done by ISB.
So I agree, involving the community is an essential part to the process. It is written into school code. What I think you're raising is that the family and student engagement is not explicitly written in the plan. And we would agree that that needs to be improved as we enter into next school year. So there is a commitment from ASAP, from the area superintendents, that we will make sure that there's explicit writing in the plan so that that is clearly communicated. But I will say that we did follow up with principals, and there were many schools that did have ways of engaging students and families, but they are not reflected in the current plans. And so we acknowledge that, but we'll make a commitment to improving that process moving forward. And then there were some places where there was not that effort. And so that's something that both Dr. Andrews and I are committed to working with our school leaders to make sure that they understand the importance of engaging students and families in that process.
and that goes along with our 5 essentials as well that we're going to talk about later.
Yes, and what we can make a commitment right now, this is, I see Ms. Maluski in the back, that we revise our SIPAs for next year, and that parent and community component is already there, that the principals have to fill it out with names, and there's guidance that must be done in order for them to advance their plans forward. And so that is an adjustment we can make at the district office, and we will make for the upcoming school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Fabian?
For the reasons stated, yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Pass.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
President Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, item 11, student discipline matters, I see none. Item 12, board member time. Start with Mr. Riddle.
Just wanted to say that Mr. Rodriguez and myself both attended the 2026 year-end celebration of the Waukegan to College at Trapp Auditorium. It was a very moving experience. It was just great to see the partnership that we have developed with Waukegan to College. They had 18 college graduates this year that were there, honored, that they've been working with over the years. They also had 36 high school grads that they've been working with this year who finished, and most of them are going on to college or trade school. I just think this is a great partnership that we have with Waukegan College. They are working with our students. I was impressed with their staff and with these presentations that they made. One of our very own principals, Ms. Schaefer, was there and did a wonderful talk and motivational speech to the students, all the graduates and the families. And she, of course, has been partnering with Waukegan College at her facility. So it was a great event. And I look forward to continuing to grow that relationship with Waukegan College. Also, one of the graduates actually spoke as well, one of the college graduates, and that was a very moving speech as well. So I just think this is wonderful that we have this organization in town and that we as a school district have been partnering with them and are continuing to develop that relationship, and that they are really helping especially our first generation students, value themselves and their ability to get to college and hopefully come back into this area and make a difference in our community with that education that they derive. So it was a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. Mr. McBride?
Yeah, I just want to say, sitting on this board, a lot of situations come across my path while I'm sitting here, and decisions I have to make on kids' lives and parents' lives. And I have a moral conscience that I have to deal with to do and say the right things. And situations come up where when I do make a decision, I try to give an explanation behind it. And I made a decision tonight that I feel comfortable with because I was involved. I didn't know the situation was going to come where I was involved back in the past dealing with this, the situation. But I feel that I made a good decision, and I feel that too. Once again, the bottom line to it is there was always room to go back and readjust my comments that I made and the decision that I made, and I stand on that. And once again, you know, it's all is not failed in that situation that we made tonight, and I made myself clear on that. And then I did say that when it's all said and done, that you still, as an individual, still have the right to be to come back here and do what you need to do as far as being employed here. But at the same time, it's got to be done right. But with again, like I said, I'm going to say it again. Some decisions are hard, but I'm going to do everything I can morally to make the right decision. And with that, I just needed to say that. Thank you for listening. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Santa?
I want to speak on the issue that Ms. Fulton brought up, because I'm frustrated by that because there is a certain group of people in District 60 that are treated unfairly, that are overlooked, that are dismissed, that are qualified for positions but never get to be interviewed or any something like that. I was someone contacted me, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, the board president, maybe others, that they had applied for a position, never heard anything, asked questions about it, was given wrong information, and it turned out that the individual didn't get the position, totally qualified person, and this has been a frustration for me for a while, and so and I'm talking to my board colleagues. A discussion needs to be had about the selectiveness, that's a word, of individuals being put in positions. And so I'm going to keep saying it because this is not the first time that I have mentioned something like this, because I live it. I live it, just like others live it. But we can't do anything about it because there's no authority. So as a result, we just have to continue to live with it and be okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I will not apologize for what I'm saying. There are people that are treated differently in District 60. And so I will continue to talk about this, and hopefully at some point there will be a resolution. And well, I want to talk specifically about the program that Ms. Fulton was talking about. I attended the abbreviated activity, the program. I've never seen so many of the students that we were supposed to be targeting for improvement. They were there. They were engaged. But that program's the request got cut in half. Therefore, that program is going to be, hopefully, it will be funded, and it was such a minor amount of money compared to some of the non-essential things that we spend money for. But it begs the question, why was it denied? Why was it denied? It wasn't that it was a bad program. And the thing is, the individual that wants to bring resources to the district for the children, homegrown, alumni at Waukegan Public Schools, award-winning, Grammy award-winning individual with, look, that we already knew when she was young she would be something great. And she has high profile people that work with her. But we embarrassed her. We embarrassed her. For what reason? $34,000. They were only asking 80. That was cut in half. Why? Why? So I'm going to continue to talk about these. I'm going to call them what I feel, these injustices. I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to keep talking about it until we get some kind of consideration for the things that we're able to do, we're qualified to do, and experienced to do. But we're dismissed as if none of those things exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Ms. Lensing?
I'm gonna be transparent that when I ran for the board, I did not anticipate being in, I don't even know what year it is even more. Being in this position, we'd have to deal with some of the issues that we have to deal with in this community. And what I mean directly by that is I wanted to raise test scores. I wanted to make sure we paid our teachers fairly. I wanted to make sure that we had supports and services so that everyone thrives and we're on the right track and our kids are successful. Hopefully they come back and stay in our community because we're amazing. But if they go, they have all the tools that they need. And instead, we're having to deal with the bureaucracy of cutting resources to children in terms of the Department of Education funding. That's trickling down to us. We're having to deal with the inadequacy of our federal government handling immigration appropriately. And we're seeing real life impact to community members, former students, current staff members. And it's ridiculous. We have better things to do than to try to mitigate what's not being done on the federal level. And I say that not that it's not important to address the needs of our immigrant community and undocumented community. I say that they added this problem to our plate that we, in all honesty, have no room for. Right? But America agreed, and this is where we're at. So unfortunately, I don't see that getting better anytime soon. So we're going to, as a board, have a lot of these difficult decisions just continuing to dogpile on us. And at the very center, we need to focus on our students and our staff and our community. And we have to think about the betterment for all and come together and just make, to Mr. McBride's point, the best decision we know how to make in the moment to serve the most we can. I will say that I think for this coming year, as we're talking about the budget, another transparent thing. So I go and I do therapy because I think everybody needs it. But my therapist brought up a good point where sometimes we can have that academic approach where if you just consume all of the information, you feel like you're doing something. So you learn more about how to do this and build your knowledge base, but we need to make sure we're actually implementing. So I think along with the board being mindful of our professional development, I think considering the financial constraints and wanting to make sure that services get to kids, that we take some time to hunker down and take all of the professional development that we've been going out in previous years and making sure that we're applying it with fidelity here in the district, tightening it up, really focusing in on us. Because we can continue to collect all of the knowledge, but if we're not implementing it in the right way, we're not going to see the gains we make. That's my personal opinion. I also want to comment that I understand that the purchasing contracts, the approval to purchase the back to school resource fair financing did not pass tonight. I will remind the community there are going to be multiple events throughout the summer. I know specifically Waukegan Public Library is going to have a back to school resource fair themselves on July 24th from 3 to 5 p.m. So if you go to their website, the information is there, it's on the socials, etc. So if you were looking for the Waukegan Public Schools Resource Fair as your support, there are going to be other supports available. That is the first one that I'm aware of and wanted to share out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Fabian.
Oh, township too. Sorry.
Sorry, okay. Mr. McBride, did you want to share that information of
What's that?
the township?
Township? Does the township
Does-
have a resource fair as well?
No, what we generally do, we don't have a resource fair, but we have a lot of agencies that come to us to ask for money to do the same thing the district does. So I can say this, that what we do in terms of book, it's being duplicated all over the place. The churches are doing it, you know, United Way is doing it. Again, sometimes I think just collaboration needs to be done. That's what I think, yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Fabian.
So I agree with Ms. Lenzing's sentiments as far as your local school board should not be mitigating federal agency and law. It's very difficult, I know, for all of us. But also, again, I encourage you all to become advocates and really call on your legislators. Second, I did have the pleasure of coming into the meetings where principals were sitting there and, you know, Mr. McBride and I were just flies on the wall and listening to them talk through their, through all of their plans. And I really appreciate the work that our principals are doing and the thoughtfulness that's going behind all of the strategies and listening to their conversations and how they really do care about our kids. So thank you to our principals for going through it. I know it's difficult for you to plan out your strategies and hope that you're going to get, you know, all of the resources and equipment that you're asking for, and then having to go back and go, well, I guess I can do it without, or I have to pivot and shift. So I appreciate all of the principals that came in and took the time to pivot and shift. As far as the Back to School Resource Fair, it's not a secret that I was previously in charge of that event, and I know we used to have so many partnerships where we did not have to pay out the large sum for the supplies. So I encourage, again, that we look to our FACE department to reach back out to our partnerships and see where they can support. Juneteenth is coming up, so I just want to make the public aware of a couple of festivals. The first one will be on June 19th at the African American Museum here in Waukegan. It is free, and I believe it starts at 5. And then on June 20th, there's going to be the big parade and festival. So I'm excited to see the parade this year go through Waukegan. It's going to start at our Washington High School campus at 1 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock, immediately following, will be the festival, where, again, there are a lot of resources. And I'm sure we'll see some of the resources for the back-to-school supplies as well there. And then also, Happy Pride Month. I was able to be a part of Waukegan's Pride celebration on May 28th, and so it was really beautiful to see the community come together. Lots of great food, but just to see everybody come together and all the information and resources that are shared to support not just the LGBTQ population, but all of us and those specifically marginalized. There is another big Lake County event that is being hosted by the Lake County LGBTQ Center from 12 to 8, also on June 20th at the Round Lake Beach Civic Center. I encourage all of you to attend. There are several resources that will be there as well, and anybody looking for that specific support can reach out to the LGBTQ Center because they have a lot of free resources and groups that you can become a part of if you really need that support. Also, just happy Father's Day, because we won't be here for that, for all of the father figures in our district, especially our male mentors in our schools. And then lastly, if we could just please keep our fellow board member, Ms. Ramirez, in your prayers for a speedy recovery.
Thank you. And I just want to thank all of my fellow board members for being willing to sit here and work together make the difficult decisions for our district. There are a lot of really challenging situations that we have to deal with, and we're in a position where we have to make decisions that are not easy, but everybody here, I believe their hearts are all in the right place, and we're trying to do what is best for our students and for our district. And it's not easy. And the decisions, a lot of times you make a decision for one reason, you know there are other reasons why you wish you could vote the other way. But, you know, we have to vote our conscience. We have to do what is right and just and legal. And I just want to say that I really appreciate all the hard work and effort that this board is putting in for our main reason for being here, and that's children. And I just want to let Board Member Angela Ramirez know that our hearts and our thoughts go out to her. She's going through some very difficult times, and we just wish her a full and speedy recovery. And with that, I'd like to remind the board we are going to be going back into closed session at the end of the evening. We have 2 more meetings to get through. We have a student achievement meeting and operations meeting. And so now I would like to ask for a motion to go into recess.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle to go into recess. Second by Mr. McBride. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah? Yes. Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Mr. McBride? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries. We are now in recess. Thank you. 5:30. And I would like to call to order the Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 Student Achievement Meeting. Can we have a roll call?
You're not.
I'm sorry. I need to repeat all that? Let me repeat it then, so I'm being heard. It is 8:31 now, okay? And I would like to call to order the Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 Student Achievement Meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. McBride? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah? Ms. Fabian?
Present.
Ms. Lenzing?
Present.
Ms. Ramirez? President Rodriguez?
Here, okay, we do have a quorum. Before we start, the superintendent would like to say something.
Yes, I want to ask the board, I know that we were supposed to go to closed session, and I know that I would like, I know I would say, I'm asking we go in closed session. I need some guidance on the budget. I need guidance, and I need to have a 10-minute conversation with you all so that we have common understanding, because I cannot execute what's being asked because I'm getting two different vibrations, and I want clarity around the work. And I'm spending a lot of time reviewing budgets along with our staff, and we're actually, it's just a lot going on, and time is money, as you know. And I want to make sure that we're putting our energy and synergy in the right place. So I am going to ask that if it's student achievement, there's not much here. There's a lot of renewals. We can hold over the 5 essential reports for the next superintendent, for the next board meeting, if the board would like to cut some time there. But I do think it's imperative that we go back into closed session because I do need guidance on the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Sensor. Yes.
It is because we're talking about personnel. Yes, sir.
Okay, next item, approval of the minutes of the May 12th, 2026 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Riddle.
Sorry, yes.
I mean,
Motion
second
second.
by Ms. Fabian. Any
It's only
comments,
been a
corrections, changes to minutes?
I don't know. Okay, no.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
We're voting on minutes.
Minutes.
Apologies, Board President.
We've already come back out of recess.
Okay, so to re-clarify for Board Member Hannah, we'll be going into closed session after to talk about the superintendent's budgeting concern with regard to personnel. So closed session will be happening.
Budget is what?
So personnel.
Yeah.
Personnel.
And we are currently on approving the minutes of May 12th.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ramirez? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lenzing?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carries, minutes are approved. Item 4, discussion items, I see none. Item 5, information items.
Okay, good evening, Board President, Superintendent, members of the board, colleagues, community members. So you'll have a series of items here. The first one is renewal of GAGO monitoring services. Yes, sir.
Okay, so on renewal of GAGO monitoring, I had some questions about that. I know it's just a renewal, and most of these are just all renewals. This one is $181,000. And I wondered if it's basically monitoring for safety alerts for District 60. I wondered how many have we, at that amount, how many alerts have we had in the past? If you could give us some idea, maybe some example of
Sure.
what types of alerts. I know it could be for something serious like someone is threatening on social media to bring a weapon to school. But I'm curious, that's a lot of money just for that. Have we ever had any serious alerts, or do we have alerts that are pretty juvenile or pretty, okay. So if you could give us an idea of, we've had this service in the past. I'm just considering do we definitely need it? And is it worthwhile?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, the question. I think it's important to ask, how is this used? And for a number of these pieces, measuring the effectiveness is really difficult.
Right.
The way that we can say is this is preventative. So we're being proactive to ensure that we're ensuring that our kids are safe, that our adults are safe.
Right.
Because you asked for examples. There have been examples, and I don't want to raise alarm, but there have been several. I can speak to it too, and then I can have him speak to it too. But it's for all of us. But it is, when someone says that they're going to bring a weapon or something like that. We've had ones that have come across from state lines. There are several instances where we've had to be aware and alert and act appropriately to ensure that our students are okay. Suicidal ideation. So there have been many of those, and again, I've said this with other programs, I'll say it with this one too, you can't put a price on a life. And, it's really important that we have some of these. They do cost a lot of money, but it's all relative, and I think I'm going to give kudos to Josue. I think he does a really good job of staying up to date and current with what are the latest and best. He doesn't always go for the highest price.
Right.
He always is looking. We have another item up here today that is very large, but again, he had went to this other option to save our district money. So long story short, I can cite more examples, but those are a few of the big ones. And for those of us that have children, you can't put a price on that.
Dr. Cesario, could you tell us, though, what are they actually monitoring for that price? So we can have some idea. I mean, it's not just social media. What are they doing?
Sure.
Seems like a lot of money.
It's our email. It's constant. I'll let Josue speak to it, but it is constant, and it is not. Yes.
And who's responding, I guess, to the alerts as well? I guess that would be the other thing. How much staff time does it take to see if these are valid concerns or if they are superfluous?
Great question. Good evening, Board President, Superintendent, board members, and community members. Yes, Mr. Riddle. So it is a collaboration. So this organization, Gaggle, they have live individuals that they're reading the emails when there is an alert. And there is protocols in place in collaboration with the technology department, with the safety department, with the principals. So when they're going to be calling someone, there is a phone call protocol that we need to follow. There is a history. Every single incident is very well documented. So we have all those incidents documented. We receive phone calls at 2 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, 24/7 on the weekends. We have saved a few lives for the students that have left letters. And that's the most difficult part when you receive that phone call and you need to say, we need to use this system to prevent and save a few lives.
Wow. Okay, that's all I wanted to do is basically.
Ms. Lensing,
yes.
I'm going to try not to get emotional. So I've sat in on safety meetings on the safety committee. I've done board reprimands, and Gaggle has been consistently stated one of the best tools we have in the district.
Good.
And yes, I completely agree with you, Dr. Cesaro. You can't put a number on our children's lives or any life for that matter. But I wholeheartedly appreciate what this tool brings to this district.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hannah.
I'm a fan of Gaggle. Okay, and I had a personal incident because of Gaggle. Wouldn't have ever known anything about it, and so it does work. It is for the benefit of for the students, because my incident was involving students, and my only question, right, with all of this AI, right, do you foresee, Dr. Cuevas, Gaggle changing in some sort of way tied to AI?
Gaggle already use AI, and they've been using artificial intelligence to identify keywords. So AI is not new for Gaggle. It's basically they are aligning, adapting to the latest technology. So AI is already used basically as preventative method to identify emails that can consider to be a threat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's great to ask these questions. And, you know, as we talk about, because a lot of these items are tech related, it is costly, it is expensive, but a lot of it is being proactive and ensuring that we're protecting not only our students physically, mentally, social, emotionally, but then also their information. So you're going to see a lot of that here too. But I'll keep going. So Aruba Central Wi-Fi migration, and this is part of the E-rate project. Dr. Cuevas has spoken a lot about this, but this is to update our access points. He presented on this, I think, a couple meetings ago. So that's item B. Item C is the renewal of the Aruba switching and ClearPass licensing. So this is another year contract to provide the network communication connected to that.
Is E-rate, does E-rate?
That's not E-rate, right? Because it's a service.
Not an E-rate?
There are some items that do not qualify. So basically they need to be under category 1, category 2. When there is E-rate, we normally mention this is
Right.
covered with E-rate. But
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
this one is not, no. Correct, it's a service.
Because when we started with technology, my first thing was, I hope we're ready for this because it's going to cost money over and over and over. The money's not going to stop.
No, it's not, just to be honest and transparent. So our next one, and speaking of the renewal of cybersecurity services, again, we talk about personal identifiable information and other pieces. We have to have this. We have to be proactive in ensuring that we're safe and protected against threats.
And this is different when we do Gaggle and cybersecurity. Two different things.
Two different things, because Gaggle is monitoring what's coming in specifically regarding student safety and other items. And this is to protect the district against cyber threats. So now what's happening, we have bands of people, groups of people who are holding the information hostage, actually ransoming, asking for ransom for healthcare systems, for universities, for companies, and yes, 20, 30, $40 million, and yeah. So
But it was only, you all aware that it was a teenager that did that, that was doing all of that.
Could be, but yeah.
It was a teenager.
Well, there was a recent one just this past week here, and it was at Evanston school system was shut down for 2 days, and then they didn't know if they're going to
That
reopen
was
or not.
Evanston.
So
But
then
I'm
again,
talking about what.
cybersecurity, ransom.
Yeah, what.
Well, he hacked into the system. and
Dr. Cesario
manipulated
said, those things he named off about the hospitals and all, it was a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a cost we have to pay. Yeah. You've kept us safe so far, Dr. Cesario. Dr. Cuevas.
I hope I have too. So, okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to move on. Item E, renewal of Infinite campus license. Yes. Is this on E?
It is,
Okay.
yeah. So can you remind me how many years we've had Infinite Campus in place?
It's been more than 10 years.
Yes.
Right, okay. There's a reason I'm asking this question. And I think Mr. Ramirez will hopefully appreciate this question because it's a similar one we constantly have. When looking at this system, I agree it's beneficial in a lot of different ways. Are we using it to its max capacity? Every single facet that it can provide to us, we are using. If we are not, my ask is that every year that we have it, we learn more about it and we implement it. So if there's already an implementation plan, great. I just want some sort of high level understanding around that, because after having it for over 10 years, we should be maxing this service out.
Great question, and thank you. So our school district, we even belongs to an Infinite Campus community group from other school districts that we meet on a regular basis. And our data team, which Rushika Sharma, she's the manager of that team. Basically, we look all the new functions that Gaggle offer, and based on the projects that we have, also we analyze, we set priorities, and we try to adapt basically the majority. I would not say that we're using 100% because we're not, but basically we're using the majority based with the resources that we have. And we're always looking, and also if we see that there's something that will benefit the schools, we will do a pilot. Definitely we're going to involve a few schools just to see how is the feedback, how things will work if we change the infrastructure, and based on that feedback, then we do an actual implementation. There's always a plan when we're actually adding new functions to the school district, especially with the student management system with Infinite Campus.
Thank you, Dr. Cueva.
And don't leave just yet. Just because I have been sitting on those committees where we're nickel and diming our principals, I'm looking at the invoice where it's invoicing us for 13,640 students. Looking at registration, it looks like we're going to have significantly lower, probably like 1,000 less. Will that change our invoicing if our student count goes down? Because that would end up giving us a cost saving about 7,500.
I can double check with them, but normally there is a range of students, and depending on the range that you are, that's the pricing that we'll receive.
Okay, because this looks like we're paying per student is what I'm saying.
I will double check.
If we have 1,000 students less, if that's the case, I'm just remembering from our last update on registrations, if that's the case, will we not be billed for those 1,000?
So I think, is it contract static or dynamic with actual usage?
We will double check.
Okay, so somehow we have the renewal for Everyway contract for the, this is an item for Dr. Bublitz. It's for our students, this is for allies. Yeah, it's for our low incident students. It's a curriculum that they use. So this is a renewal of that.
And we couldn't use Infinite Campus for this.
So this is something totally different. This is something that the Infinite Campus is an information system. It houses the student information. This is more curricular related. I'm sorry for this somehow got mixed into Dr. Cuevas's. It should have come after. And I think maybe when we were going over this, we saw the systems and it got in here. So I'm sorry for that confusion, Ms. Hannah. But this is more curricular related. It's not related to student information.
Mm-hmm.
And for our low incident students, just to reiterate that point. So, okay.
And there was one, maybe, okay, keep going.
Thank you. So next, back to Dr. Cuevas. This is a renewal of Cordons, formerly known as Hapara. And this helps to monitor the Chromebook activity so that teachers can see what's happening on all the screens in their classroom. Okay, and this is for 2 years. Okay, the next one is renewal of copier lease agreement and services. Now, this is a 5-year, but the price does not change. And
Mr. Riddle's got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Riddle. I didn't see your.
No, I know this is a great one. This renewal of the copier lease. My concern on that one, and it says we're going to save thousands of dollars by running it over 5 years, and that's good. $2 million. We had 168 copiers for 5 years, so that's about $400,000 a year, or about $2,400 per copier. It does say black and white and color, and I'm wondering, I know color printing is very expensive. My daughter had that. She got rid of the color printer. I'm just wondering, how could we save some money if we didn't use color copy? I've seen some of the stuff in the district that I thought was an excess with color that we didn't need to have some, the teachers ran off that seemed to be excessive. I'm just wondering if that's needed. Do we need a color printer at this time? And if we would take it away for a year or two, would we save a lot of money?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Riddle. Actually, we do need color copiers in the school district. In fact, we added additional color copiers to all the buildings.
Yes.
Based on our data for the last 5 years, now we have real data we printed approximately 4.5 million copies in color per year. And so there is basically data that shows there are specific classes that if the students are more visual,
Okay.
especially
And,
for
younger
diverse
Special ed,
learners,
dual
that they need
language.
to use colors.
littles.
So we need to have those color printers available, for these classrooms. Also, if you have a photography class or a computer science class, and they need to evaluate basically high quality colors, you have to have a color copier.
Okay.
Yes.
And is this the same company that a few years ago we changed to a company that was giving us a good break? Same company, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are right there.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's the same company, it's Proven IT. We've been having great experience, with them. They have basically dedicated technicians on campus. So basically, we have dedicated technicians. When a copier breaks, we submit a help desk ticket. They are basically locally here in Waukegan. They also created a partnership to recycle equipment with the Waukegan company Arcoa. So actually, they're supporting local business as well. And going back to your question about the color copier, something that we're very happy with the negotiations that we have, that we're getting a fixed rate. So
Okay.
we for 5 years.
For 5 years. Okay.
So if we exceed, it's like 25 million black and white. I believe it's 25.2 million black and white is a fixed rate. If we exceed that, then there is an extra charge per click charge. Based on our data, we're not exceeding that number.
Right. And this doesn't, this is the machines. This doesn't include the paper. We have to buy that separately.
That's correct. But it
papers
include 3 hole punches,
Yeah.
staplers for the machines, the service, unlimited toner,
Okay.
that which is used, and also to have an on-site technician available here. And we have Mark Manning. He's the director.
Okay.
Good evening, board and the community. Thank you for having me in. We're very proud of our partnership with Waukegan 60. Also included for 5 years is a software called PaperCut, which actually provides the capability to limit color copies at the device level. So every user, every teacher uses their ID card to actually authenticate at the device to limit the reduction of wasted paper whenever there's copiers, copy paper left at the paper. It reduces copies, but also we could put limits by departments, by users, by schools, so we could track exactly if certain schools or individuals are printing too much in color, you could actually limit that at the
That
device.
sounds really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very good software. Thank you very much. Any other
I
questions?
just wanted to add from the educator's perspective is there is a cost savings because a lot of those color copies are being created to supplement for books, to supplement for like games that they use in the center. So they're not going out and buying, they're creating their own to decorate their classrooms. So there's not a way to really quantify that. But as an educator, you do utilize the color copies to support your classroom, and then you're not going out and purchasing higher cost materials, that you can easily print yourself. Apart from DL, our dual language also needs to distinguish colors for what language our signs are in. And just, again, knowing that we are competing with the modern age. You have children who are constantly playing, on games with graphics and color TV and, TikTok, all of that. You really have to keep them engaged. And so some of that is putting those visuals together in color for them to actively know and choose and to work and be engaged with the learning.
Thank you.
And in addition of the copiers that we have in the buildings, they're also supporting our commercial copiers at the print shop. So Raymond Narboni, who's our manager, basically, he's doing a great job monitoring every single copier. So he keeps track and he monitors basically what is the status of these copiers. And like I say, we're very happy, with their services.
Good. Thank you, Doug.
Dr. Cuevas, I'm glad you brought up Print Shop because as a GPTO member, I've been thoroughly impressed with the Print Shop. So thank you so much.
Thank you to Raymond Narboni.
Thank you so very much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And when I don't need a direct answer, I just want to make sure when we're looking at the limiting, it's great that we can limit it at the machine and differentiate. I am just hopeful that that's being done with like an equity lens and not an equality lens.
That's correct.
Because, a 12th grade chemistry teacher may not need the same level of color print copies as like our kindergarten or DL or dual language
That's correct.
teachers.
And I have an answer for that. So we have 5 years of data right now that will be monitoring, and we have a procedure in place. If a teacher run out of their print quota, there is a process that they go to their principal. The principal will send an email, please increase the print quota to this particular teacher, and that's the process.
Teachers, talk to your principals. Thank you.
There was a time we had a really strict limit, and we had kids bringing in paper, and we were fighting for that printer. So this is
Okay,
more,
next item,
this is
please.
easier.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for coming. So, yes. So the next one, these items are Dr. Bublitz's. This first one is he got these in early, attendance at the Closing the Gap Assistive Tech Conference. So he's bringing it forward right now. This is one that you're bringing forward because it's an early bird special, right? Yes. Do you want to speak to this at all, or?
Yeah, this is just going to go back to my prior comment about professional development, Dr. Bublitz. So I guess for me, is this a required conference, or this is great development for the district?
So this is not required, but it is with our frontline workers who with Assistive Tech and AAC, communication device, Closing the Gap. I've been there way in the past. They have people who provide technology, people who talk about, do workshops on how to implement within the classroom. And so if you remember our student a month ago who won the award from Infinitec for using her AAC device, and we presented first semester, this is the work that they do, and this stuff is, it's low and high tech, but the high tech stuff, it's the newest stuff. And so it's not just looking at those devices and different types of tech, high and low, but it also will have workshops on how to implement. For example, I met a gentleman a few years ago at Closing the Gap, and I saw he's now leading an app for something that was inspired by his daughter who had a disability, and it's helping communicate with students and teachers. So that's one of the reasons we're going. And supervisors, so Ms. Landerman and Ms. Stressendorfer, do not pay for admission, so they get to go for free. Obviously, they have to have a place to stay. Ms. Hannah?
Yeah. We had the assistive technology here in District 60 for a while. But they used to bring the equipment here so that the Board of Education could look at it, see it, ask questions about it. And I'm just wondering why only a couple people are going to go and they're going to see this. But I'm nosy. I want to see it too. You know, because I know what the assistive technology looked like maybe 10 years ago. Okay, I'd certainly like to see how it has advanced. And we can't do that if we're not seeing it. Because I know eventually you're going to come to us and you're going to say, we need this assistive technology here in the district. Okay? I want to see. So I don't know how my other board colleagues think, but when we first got the assistive technology for our low incident students, they brought the equipment to the board.
Okay, so yes, I understand that you're interested because there's a lot of cool stuff, and that technology changes all the time. That we did present in the fall or early winter And so that was a spotlight on 60. We can bring that back for you. You can see that. We can talk about setting something up to see what the team has. Come to the boardroom and put it here. I don't know that we would want to do that at a board night or whatever, or we can put something together. It's extensive. Like it's apps on your phone, it's pencil holders, it's devices. So
Sorry, just to include, I think that's part of the reason to go is because just like we were talking about with Dr. Cuevas, this technology updates rather rapidly, and it's not just like 10 items. There's numerous ones. Some are low tech, some are high tech. But it's important to stay up to date on what these are so that our folks know how to implement them and how to best serve our students. So, but again, just like Dr. Bublett said, happy to show you, Ms. Hannah. Happy to make it a board presentation. Again, that's up to the board, but we can provide some of that, or set up a presentation again. Yeah, or invite them to see how it works. Miss.
You touched upon it. That this technology is constantly evolving. I use it, for at home for personal reasons. We have to use the assistive technology, and I've seen just in the span of 2 years how much more has been added to it, and how much the application has changed, and how many more amazing things that we can do with it. So that is why I'm going to approve this, because it is constantly evolving. And then we also have to understand that the particular technology is tied to a student. And so if we don't have the appropriate technology, we can't appropriately serve specific individual students. So I think for me, that's where we have to really, really keep that in mind, that all of this goes directly in, student IEPs.
And you are correct. It is definitely tied to the student and their plan, but also there are items we have in use that are on everyone's device that everyone can use. And as we continue to have the team get out there, other teachers can say, oh, I have students that are bilingual that would benefit from that, or whatever.
I got another question, Dr. Bublitz. Could you tell me why this is coming out of the Ed Fund and not out of the Diverse Learner Fund?
Well, the Diverse Learner Fund and the grant are a part of the Education Fund, so that's how we direct it for the Education Fund. So this should be out of the IDEA grant. The special ed grant,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Federal grant,
Okay.
yep.
Because it just says Ed Fund, and, well, me personally, could you specify? Because I always have a question about that. Just the IDEA funding.
I can put it in the slide when I redo it for approval, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next is approval of, is it this one? Attendance at the American Speech Language Hearing Association Conference. Again, this is another early bird special.
Is this required? What was the question?
Is this a required conference?
Yeah, is it a required conference, or is it just something
So
we're going to?
It is not necessarily a required conference. I do believe it does help for certification for the speech pathologists who go. We are bringing, again, frontline staff, speech pathologists to go there and learn about, again, the latest law, the latest best practice and research. They will deal with some technology as well because it's speech. We also recruit at this, and so last week we showed that we've reduced the number of contract employees we've had, so this is one of the areas that we recruit. So no, it is not required, but it does help our speech language pathologists get some of the credits that they need for recertification, and they require a bit more than because of the technical nature of their job.
Thank you.
Ms. Fabian?
Oh.
No, for the next.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Next item, please.
This is the approval of the contract for the bilingual speech language evaluator.
So I just have a question. for this speech language evaluator, are they coming in place of a speech language pathologist? Or are they just doing assessments because someone is not certified to do them?
So we do have Waukegan staff who are bilingual evaluators as well. Ms. Michaels has been with us for a while, so technically, if we could hire enough staff to do that, we would. She's an independent contractor, so we work with her directly. We've seen an increase over the 6 years I've been here, but really the last 5 years. It's kind of leveled off because it's gone so high. And we hired, 2 years ago, we hired a bilingual evaluator, but there's still so many. We have some of the numbers in there.
Yeah.
And it's not just evaluations, it's screeners to see if students need further services or, and it also helps to differentiate. Is this a language need based on being bilingual or an English language learner, or is this a disability? So these are really critical to some of the things we do in DL for kind of pulling those out.
So I guess my question is more because we're seeing these independent contractors and you see the rate and how costly they can be.
Correct.
Because we don't have bilingual support. Is there a way, and I'm asking, as far as our teacher vacancy grants or other grants, where if we have, for example, a bilingual DL teacher, that we could help them gain the certification needed to be speech and language, to be psych, to be all of those high-need bilingual positions?
It's more complicated than that, so
Okay.
I'm going to let Ms. Dressendorfer talk about it. I can tell you that requires a little bit more than just getting a certification, so.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here. So in order to become a speech language pathologist, you need to have a master's degree. It's a specialty degree. I know mine was 72 semester hours. So it's quite a commitment to education. It's not something that everybody wants to do. We're also in a national shortage of speech language pathologists. So finding a bilingual SLP, that's what we call speech language pathologists, SLPs, is incredibly difficult to do. If we had enough bilingual support throughout the district in our department, we wouldn't need to have a contractor. However, the need is so great, and we primarily have monolingual English speech language pathologists. So if there was a way to accrue and grow more SLPs, especially bilingual SLPs, I would definitely be in favor of that kind of programming for sure.
I think for me, another avenue, like I understand language acquisition at an older age, and I'm speaking for myself as an older age, so I'm not trying to age anyone, can be trickier, right? But I hope we're also looking at not just hiring those that are bilingual and getting them the skills to be SLPs, but also providing supports for current SLPs to then become bilingual.
Yep.
Okay.
And that is quite a commitment, for sure. But we have had several SLPs express that kind of interest. For us at a national level, which is ASHA, what you guys just learned about, that national organization, they do have a lot of stipulations in place about who and what kind of proficiency level you need to have in order to work with students who have two languages or multi-languages.
Now is that the same as interpreters? Because I know that there was some kind of legislation for interpreters, and I'm wondering, has that training for those interpreters taken place, especially teaching them about the IEPs and sitting in on those? And I'm just wondering, when I hear evaluator, my mind automatically went to the interpreters too. And so evaluators, interpreters, well, I know they're not the same, but can they come under this bilingual contract, even though it's for speech language evaluators? Okay, I mean, we're trying to save money.
We have
And
speech
I may
language
be off the
interpreters.
cuff, excuse me, this may be off the cuff, okay, but I want to hear from you all.
So I'll answer and then I'll turn it over, but I don't think it's off the cuff. I like how you're thinking outside the box. But this has to be specific, just like Ms. Dressendorfer was talking about. They have to have certain certification in order to specifically do this job of the speech language pathologist. And so that's what it is. So could an interpreter go through the training? They most certainly could. But specifically to say, could they do the same job? They couldn't because they don't have the certification. And so this is part of their ask and going is not only to continue to get their continuing education credits, to learn about what's going on, but it's also to recruit more folks. And I think what Ms. Lensing was bringing up is not just encouraging those that are already speaking another language, but also those that are currently monolingual, that, also looking at that because it doubles the amount of people. Well, yes, you're looking at two groups rather than just one. And so I think that's a big part of it. But as the short answer to the question is, no, they can't do the same thing because they don't have the qualifications to fulfill the duties of the speech pathologist.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so, as that sidebar, okay, the interpreters have been being looked at, right? Okay.
Ms. Fabian?
So can I clarify, do we still have speech language pathologists, interpreters? Because I believe we have specific to the district interpreters that are assigned to our speech language pathologist.
That is correct. We have 5 bilingual liaisons within the speech language pathology department who are specific in interpreting for our monolingual SLPs in certain buildings that have a much higher incidence of those bilingual students and that need. So they do help with translation during therapy sessions.
And then the second question that Ms. Hannah touched upon was their training for IEPs. And our language liaisons must be trained, required that in order for them to be interpreting during an IEP session, they must have that certification. And so we're sure that that is still being implemented and done in the district.
That is correct. Anything that the district bilingual liaisons have to do, the speech language pathology bilingual liaisons also must accomplish.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the last item here is our learning to approve our learning partners, and this is for our schools that are designated comprehensive. ISB provides the funding for these learning partners, and so this is just an approval for those.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the 5 essentials presentation is being postponed till another day.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. It's
I would like to ask for a motion to
anyway.
adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Hannah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned
Thank you, everyone.
at 9:14.
No, I'm good about not, I want to know about the budget. I'm more concerned about the budget. Yes.
Right.
Prohibited product. Potential layoffs. Or the
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready? It is 9:16. I would like to call to order the Tuesday, June 9th, 2026 Operations Services Committee meeting. Can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Fabian? Ms. Lensing?
Present.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. McBride? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
And President Rodriguez.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum present. Next item on the agenda, item 3, is the approval of the minutes of the Operations Services Committee meeting of May 12th, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Ms. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Lensing. Any comments, corrections, changes to the minutes? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Fabian?
Present.
Ms.
Yes.
Lensing?
Yes, sorry.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Maybe not present.
Mr. McBride? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
And President Rodriguez.
Yes, motion carries. Minutes are approved. Item 4, discussion items. I see nothing under that. Item 5, information item. Mr. Moten.
Thank you, Board President Rodriguez. Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, staff, and community. Our first information item is the Inform K-12 project update, as well as one-year renewal. There is information attached to this agenda item. I did want to highlight for the board and for the public, this is the digital document platform that we onboarded last year. $65,000 is the license cost. We do not have an implementation cost for the upcoming year. So there is an attachment that has a multi-year option and a single-year option. We're recommending the single-year option of $65,000 at a 0% increase. There is information within the PowerPoint information item that really highlights some of the progress that's taken place over the course of this year. I would like to note specifically, Mr. White, if you could open up the attachment. Thank you. So some information as in the executive summary. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit to a couple of the highlights. So one is, over the last 6 months, through this platform, 1,367 documents have been submitted through this platform, which is extremely significant. We did take a deep dive, if you could go to the next slide, into the credit card request form. What we were trying to do is we identified several forms that are most commonly used in the district, and we wanted to ensure that the approval processes were accurate and appropriate before dollars were physically spent. If you could go to the next slide. We have had to make some modifications because this has been a shift for our district. So we onboarded several forms starting in November based on the initial set of 40. This is one that we did take a deep dive on and wanted to provide you some relevant data when we decided to make modifications based on the first version of the form, just to enhance the efficiency of the document. So we're happy to report the requests are being completed 80% faster. So we actually have audible metrics that we can evaluate now that we have this platform. 36 days approximately in the first version, first iteration of this, completion for processing, and now it's down to just under 8 days. So we went from multiple weeks to 1 calendar week, and we can even improve on that. Sendbacks, meaning information was inaccurately entered or the approval routing was not appropriate. We went from 18 to 0 between version 1 and version 2, and we've captured 108 total submissions, totaling $133,000 that have gone through this process before the dollars were physically spent. We're trying to be as efficient as possible. We believe extending this platform for an additional year, as well as what we plan to do by way of additional trainings and more documents being converted into this platform for the upcoming year, and providing the training to our district leadership team, as well as our office worker staff, is critical for the district based on the amount of documents we have. And again, we're able to track and run audit reports for anything that's run through this platform. So we are requesting a 1-year extension for this platform.
Is that Mr. Moser, is that a fee that we'll pay annually then, or is that, it is an annual fee?
It would be, yes.
So, half of what we ran through, we're spending, I mean, we haven't done but 6 months or so, but we'll spend, you anticipate we'll process probably $260,000 or $300,000 worth of credit card for that $65,000 fee?
So the credit card form, that is possible, but the credit card form is just one form, one of multiple forms.
Okay.
And again, we use that as an example because we've had several work groups within the district work within Form K-12 to modify this to make sure that the forms are as efficient as possible. But as Mr. White is showing on the screen, in addition to the credit card request form, we have several other forms that have
Okay.
either been completed or being utilized in the software or is in the testing phase. We also are looking to implement in the 26-27 school year training for our staff to be able to create the forms to kind of reduce some of the reliance on Inform K-12 for them to create them on our behalf.
So we'll be creating implementation update, all of these forms that you're showing here, we'll be using. Are those the ones we're already using?
So the first half of this document, if you go down to absence management, so between the authorization for overtime and absence management, those are forms we currently use. In this platform, the main one that gets utilized quite a bit is the personnel action form. You'll note that some others are either in configuration or in testing, and we plan to have those ready for implementation in August at the start of the school year.
Okay, so basically this is automating most of our paper forms.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I'm excited to see that the Form B is on here because I know that has been a point of contention with several of our staff members when that paper sits on someone's desk for over a month and you're expecting that overtime pay. So I am hopeful that we won't see people coming to the platform because they've had a bad experience receiving or had their overtime pay really late. But the question here is, when we're seeing, because you are getting granular data as to who's approving when we're seeing that there are specific individuals that are lagging and stalling on approvals, is that being called to their attention? Are we using this data to also ensure that we're managing, our admin staff so that they're timely with going into the system and approving these items?
Yes.
Or sending them back?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, we are aware that just because we've automated this, there's still work that has to be done by employees to log in and approve or deny. One of the things, and I've met with Inform K-12, I meet with them regularly, we decided to implement was automated reminders for those approvers. So they get the email. If it sits for a certain amount of days, they get another reminder and then another reminder and another reminder. And then we can track where it's getting hung up. But once we started implementing the reminders, we did see expedited processing.
And is that keeping track? Like, are you bringing that to their attention though, right? Like if you're seeing that that's consistent, that a specific individual is, right, that the specific individual is not completing this or having several reminders and still not getting it completed, are we making sure that we're giving them that feedback that we are watching this? Because again, it impacts when you don't have your field trip form on time, right? Then the kids can't go. You don't have your overtime pay signed, you don't get paid, right? So it impacts others. So I just want to make sure that we're utilizing the data to give proper feedback.
Yes, we have done that. We've also utilized the data to modify routing for approvals because we've gotten concerns from some staff members that I'm getting something to approve that I shouldn't, right? So they're not processing it. So it's not necessarily a delay, but we've made modifications there as well. But we've used that data for that reason. And again, we've seen expedited processing with the automated reminders across the board.
So you said this has been in place since November of 2025, right?
The Board of Education approved this last summer. We met with stakeholders. We consolidated the documentation we wanted to convert.
Yeah.
In November of 2025 was the first time we actually had a live form to start using after they created it. Yes.
Right. And so like I think I'm really happy that we've gone from the 36 some odd days to 7 days within this amount of time. I think to Ms. Fabian's point, like people getting paid on time is a huge win. I wonder if as you start to grow, she was referring to job performance feedback for those not getting it on time, having department goals set for, we want to get these requests in by this sort of range. Y'all set that. That's not for me to decide what makes the most sense. But in those email reminders, if they're having to get multiple reminders, is there the capacity to then tag on or CC their manager as well? Because it's not to micromanage, but it's to keep it moving, right? Because if you can keep it moving, then you're not getting, and we're talking about it at the podium, but I'm sure there's people calling into the office of like, hey, can you take care of this? It reduces time and mental load spent on that, right? So like there's benefits. I'm just kind of talking at you right now, sorry. Yeah. But I think for me, one of the biggest thing is that with these electronic forms, we are removing the form got lost. We can't find it. He said, she said, it was turned in, it wasn't turned in. Yeah, the paper waste, but like the year extension, is that just to see how it continues to go, or is it being mindful of the budget? Like if it's working this well and like we can pull on some levers to fine tune it instead of throwing baby out with the bathwater, I just want to understand logic behind the 1 year.
Yeah, it's really to be mindful of the budget.
Okay.
And not commit the district to a long-term.
Okay.
And I'm not stating we only want to use this for 1 more year. We have seen significant growth in this, but it's just to be aware of the budget.
Understood.
At this time.
Okay.
And to provide feedback on something you mentioned, that question has not been asked because we have seen improvement when the reminders have gone out. The question of can your supervisor or somebody else in the department be carbon copied when you get a reminder or after you have to get a second reminder, that's certainly something we can ask, but I'm not aware of the need getting that, that bad
That
or
level,
the turnaround time getting at that level, but we can certainly incorporate that. Another thing I'd like to mention is, we extended DocuSign for an additional year as we were transitioning to this platform. So we still have some information floating through DocuSign. So a lot of the approvers are looking at this platform as well as DocuSign. Once, the transitions between this and DocuSign are complete and it's all in one platform, we do anticipate that will expedite it even further because people aren't having to look multiple places for approvals.
Okay, and then, sorry, one more thing and I'll be quiet on this. One thing I'm not seeing on here is the volunteer form that we have to submit. For me, I would like to be able to send that electronically because having a piece of paper with my full social security number floating around on people's desks makes me very uncomfortable. Anytime I turn it in, I put it in an envelope and make sure it gets to an actual person. I don't just send it with my kid to school. So if that can be something to kind of look as a future goal or a future ad, I think community members would be appreciative, if not just me.
All right, thank you.
Here's one question.
Ms. Hannah.
ASAP. Okay, we've been using ASAP for how long?
A long time.
A long time. Right. And what's in testing?
So currently, this is not to replace Frontline. So currently right now, if an employee requests a leave, sick time, vacation time, personal time, they put it in the system, it gets approved in Frontline. If somebody needs to modify that request after it's already been approved, there's a modification form they should fill out that also gets approved. So, for example, I submitted last week that I need to take a personal day tomorrow. It turns out my appointments got canceled or whatever I had planned. I would like to cancel that day, but I as an employee, I can't remove it because it's already gone through the approval process. So if I want to modify it, I submit the modification form through this platform, and my supervisor would either approve or deny that request. So it's not to replace Frontline, it's just an additional layer of documentation, because sometimes employees need to modify their leave request after they've already been approved, and they can't go back and edit them, particularly if it's within a certain time frame.
And the information stays within the system, where if someone asks about a particular employee, they can put the name in and bring up all that information, the amount of time that they have, the amount of time they use, all of that stuff. Is that?
So that information is in the system, but it's housed in Frontline. So if you wanted to look up how many vacation days an employee has, that's housed in Frontline. That's separate from this system. We just have a form currently that if somebody wants to modify their leave after they've submitted it, and they do not have the ability to edit them themselves, they need to submit a form for modification that goes through approval through their line of responsibility.
And so in testing means?
They've created the form, and we have a pilot group testing it to ensure it gets routed accurately before we implement it for general staff use.
In configuration?
Is being developed.
Oh, we've never had this stuff before?
We've had it in hard copy, so it's being developed.
Manually, you mean?
Yeah, it's being developed in the system, and then once it's developed, it gets tested with a pilot group. And then once it's tested and we kind of work out the kinks, then it gets implemented and it gets sent out via notification to employees, and they can use it.
Okay,
and employees also have the ability, because one of the concerns we've heard in the past is if I submit something, a hard copy, I don't know where it is in the approval process. I have it in my account where I can look up and say, hey, I submitted this last week. It's currently waiting for the business office, human resources, my supervisor, and I don't have to guess where it is. I know where it is. All right. Are there any other questions?
Next item.
All right. And thank you for that feedback. Next item is the annual waiver of facility use fee for certain nonprofits for 26-27 school year.
I kind of got an issue with this, and it goes all back to the budget, because how much money did we waive in this past year? And you may not know that information now, but my thing is, there was a process developed for facility usage. The facility, and it laid out everything, the cost of certain things, but it appears that policy or practice, I'm not sure which one, has evolved into a waiver process, because we waive a whole lot of money. And in light of our budgetary constraints right now, I have a concern about that. Okay, because if people are making money in the different groups, I mean, yeah, we can waive minimally, but we waive sometimes all of it. And that's not what our facility usage policy originally was for. So I'm interested in that.
Mine's just a clarification. So with your request, are you wanting just what's on the list that was waived, or do you want to also see
I want to see everything
that the board approved as well?
That everything that was waived, all the amount of money that was waived.
Can I just ask that when we get that information, like kind of separating out, like these are the ones under this resolution, or just identify like resolution connected?
We definitely can. And Ms. Hannah, please know, I'm just starting in the spirit of our agreements. I just would like to get consensus of the board that you all will like this, and I'm sure you do. But I just want us to make sure we're sticking to our protocols, right?
Because this
And
is
then-
more than 30 minutes of time.
Definitely more than 30 minutes of time. And so I just want to know if we can pull it. I just would like to get consensus that you would all like that. And I would like to talk about our budget, and I don't know if I jump here or at the end. And Mr. Vukovich, thank you, because I am going to start that conversation here and not ask the board to go back into closed session. Even though I did check with our attorney, and what we were going to discuss could be in closed session, but I'm going to flip it a different way so that the public can also hear the conversation. So would you like to jump in that now? Or would you want to get the consensus? Do you all want this? We can definitely get it. And Ms. Hannah, please, I'm not just asking that because you asked. Hold me accountable to make sure I'm asking that of all board members when they ask for something.
And
just so you know that, I just want you to know it's not personal, please.
No, and I understand. But it is, I think it's vital. Whatever right now has to do with money, expenditures, we need to know. We need to be right there. Looking at everything. We can't pick and choose what we look at.
I'm 100% with you, Ms. Hannah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I'm going to jump in here now, if that's okay. And is that okay with the board? Did you want to ask a question before I jump in?
Are you asking us if we want to follow that protocol?
Because if
Well,
you
I
don't
think you
want
should,
it,
I think you guys should
for
handle
you.
that first, and then I can jump here so we don't lose train of where we're at. And then I'm going to
Okay,
talk
'cause
about what
I
Ms.
have a
Hannah's
different
talking about, the
perspective on that,
overall budget and health. So I'll let you guys decide that.
I want to finish talking about this particular topic.
I got it.
Number one, this is not the first time that we have this resolution of waiver of facilities. This has been a standard practice for, from what I know, for at least a decade, where we have a list. I used to manage this so it has been a practice for at minimum a decade where we allow certain nonprofits to not have to go through the process. However, these nonprofits, along with the amount that we are not charging them, there is a gain that we receive. We are approving some of these because they are bringing programs free of charge to our students, many times after school programs where the kids can stay and join some of these different organizations. So for me, while I understand, Ms. Hannah, you're saying like we need to be looking at charging them, at the same time, we also have to be mindful that these programs are also benefiting our students directly. Our students are working with a lot of these groups. And so for me, it goes both ways. We also have to see what we're gaining by having these programs here, because then they can provide these services free of charge or at a very reduced charge, whereas if we start charging the facility rates, that charge goes on to our students and their families. And so I just want to be mindful that when we're looking at these waivers, we're also looking at the impact to our students. And we're saying we don't want to really move on and anything that impacts student services, and this is one of those areas. So yes, we are waiving fees. Many of times our buildings are already open, our custodians are already there. So we're not losing out funds in that manner.
Okay, first off, Ms. Fabian, I never said anything about charging anything. I asked about the cost. Period.
Right, the costs are the fees that we charge.
The
Right.
cost of the fees.
Right, I
that
understand.
We, not, no, the cost of what we have waived.
Right.
Not the cost of the fees. The cost that
We're
we
waiving
have
fees.
waived.
We're waiving fees, that's what we're doing when
Mr.
we do
Moak,
the fee
you
waiver.
understand what I'm asking for, right? And if the board doesn't
What other
give me a
costs are we waiving?
consensus, I'll just FOIA it. And I shouldn't have to do that.
What other costs are you looking at if you're not talking about the fees? Because that is what we're waiving, is the fee.
I'm done talking about this.
I'm asking for clarity as to what your
I am
request
asking
is.
for the amount of money that we have waived.
In fees.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. What we have waived for this item. We've been waiving fees ever since we came up with the facility usage policy. That's
Right, so for clarity, that's what we're looking at, is how many, the cost of the fees that we've been waiving.
Yeah.
Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, Ms. Hannah, I like what you're saying. I believe that we need that information, but at this point in time, I wouldn't like to have the staff go through and provide it at this time.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Because, let me finish. At this time, there's bigger challenges, I think, that we have. We're going to have a budget meeting coming up, and it's a whole lot more. This is only going to put a tiny, even if we received the facility fees for all of these organizations, which they couldn't all pay. But if we did get the fees, the facility fees, it would only provide us a tiny bit of income versus we need to get into the budget and look at what the district is considering, how we're going to not go into savings. That's really what we have to look at. We haven't had our budget meeting yet, so I'd like to push this request back to after the budget meeting we have a chance to see what is going to be, where savings are going to occur. This could be one item, but there's many, and I would like to wait.
I'm aware.
So could we push this back for a week or two until we've got a chance to see what those other items after we have the budget meeting?
Yeah, but we're being asked to approve
Right.
the annual waiver of
For these-
facility usage.
for these
We're
agent-
asked to, and so we're
Maybe-
gonna do it after the fact.
Could we
Can this
postpone
item hold? Can this item hold?
Can we
So-
hold this item?
Yes, this item can hold.
Okay, we'll hold the item. Let's get through the budget workshop and we'll bring this back to the board. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Got it?
Clarity.
Wait, go ahead. You want
And
to?
just real quick, a little bit of clarity. So Ms. Fabian is correct. We've brought forward this resolution annually for multiple years. This was originally drafted by Mr. Clary, who has been gone from the district for some time. I would like to clarify that the waivers and the classifications for the groups that are eligible for waivers that we bring to the board independently are not this list of nonprofits. They are outside of this list. Okay. The others that are
Can
on
we
this.
open up the PDF so that the
Oh,
public can see
thank you.
which non-for-profits we are
Page
speaking
2.
of?
Yep.
Thank you.
you. So these are the services
Thank you.
that are in our schools that work with our children. So you see Beacon Place, the Boy Scouts, thank you, Boys and Girls Club, Bigger World, like these are, we don't pay for, well, I don't want to say that in totality, but there's some of these that we don't pay for, and they work with our students. So just so noted, so that the public can see what entities we are speaking of.
Yeah, thank you, Superintendent. And these agencies are governed by the Facility Use Policy as well as Board Policy 1301. So we certainly will work with Mr. Briner's office and operation to provide this information. But I did want to provide that clarity. They are still subject to the terms. Historically, these groups were being approved for fee waivers on a regular basis, so we adopted the resolution. Currently, the fee waivers we bring forward are for groups that are outside of this list but still may be eligible based on their request. And we still have a lot of groups that use our facilities who do pay that we don't bring before the board because they don't request a partial or full fee waiver.
Thank you.
I'm hoping I'm
Thank
not
you.
opening a can of worms, but just to clarify, with the non-for-profit, if we were to charge these organizations to be in our schools, Ms. Fabian's comment was that cost would then be passed on to our students. It's my understanding
service
that
be lost.
these organizations can't charge for services because they're not for profit.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and my concern is not just that the cost would be passed on to the students or we would lose the service because they cannot afford the fees.
Yep.
And so again, it's a give and take of while we're not collecting fees, we are also not paying for them to serve our students.
And many of these are clubs that we don't pay for, right? So like, I'm just like Ravinia, right? We know the great work that the band and different students, even within our elementary and middle schools, participate in the Ravinia. I'll talk about a Bigger World Foundation. Mr. McBride, you had brought them to the board when they first entered, I don't even know how many years ago, probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago, and I can speak about that. They're at Lewis. It's a free program for students. I mean, they provide college tours to the south, to the east, buy our students their graduation suits, check on them through high school. So I'm just giving you that one because I'm very familiar with that. And so there's a lot more that they provide for our students in the sense of just their social and their physical well-being, and just maybe just physical needs that they have every day. And then Waukegan Council, we're all familiar with Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. That's also another club. So many of these are clubs that work after school in our facilities with students for free. And that's not neither here nor there. I'm just giving you an example of what's on this paper.
And I appreciate all of that information, but I just want the amount of money that has been waived. That's it.
Yes.
And Ms. Hannah, as the superintendent has directed, will provide that information and hold on this item. However, I would like to note, we would like to make sure that this is in place for next school year, in preparation for next school year.
And I will tell the board, and then this will be a good segue. We don't want to lose these partnerships because these are, right. And I know, Ms. Hannah, I know you're not saying that. These are clubs that we don't have to pay for that are at a number of our schools. And as we're looking at budgets, one of my talking points is how can we partner with outside organizations to get the same things done that we may not be able to do internally. So we want to leverage these facilities. And so on that note, if I can just pivot a little bit, and Mr. Vukovich, this is where I'm going to start that conversation. I was on vacation the last board meeting, and Dr. Cesario covered for me. And so at that meeting, you all had a conversation about the budget. I know Mr. Retto read his memorandum. I went back and watched the video along with speaking with Dr. Cesario on the ask of the board, right? And I can only be an effective employee if I have clarity on what the vision and the ask of the board is. And so in saying that, my understanding is, and even when I was here for the first budget workshop, we have a concern on the amount of money that we have in the reserves and the upcoming school budget, and we would like to see more money in the reserves. Is that correct? So don't answer that yet. As a result of that, in that conversation, I and my team and I have been doing a lot of intentional work along with Gwen and Brian. Brian and I and Gwen have been married to the hip for probably the past week and a half. And not saying that that's when discussions started. We have been meeting weekly. We have been discussing this. And I want to say that we have more, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? We have more in reserves now than when I first came in. I also want to state that we have made a choice not to raise taxes, I believe, for 6 years. Even though my recommendation was to raise taxes, I believe it was last year, in which I was speaking with Gwen, the board president, etc. We did not do that. I understand why. I understand the rationale, but it was my recommendation to raise taxes. We'll move past that. Now we're here. So now how are we going to save money, put more money, save money in our reserves and revisit our budgets, right, that have already been worked out? So I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at, and then I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask several questions, and I do want you to be patient with me or give me grace because I've been working this out. Meanwhile, I'm here. And so I want to state that I've been looking at school budgets, which you've heard. I have been looking at department budgets. I have been looking at class size, programming. I have been looking at contracts. I have been looking at capital improvements and space utilization. There may be more that's coming, but I'm telling you right now, sitting here, that's what I'm thinking about. And when I'm looking at that, all of that, I'm looking at duplication of services. I'm looking at return of investments. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The other piece I left off, I'm looking at human capital. So I want to put that out there. So one of those buckets. And so when I'm looking at that, I'm looking at duplication of services. I'm looking at return of investments. I'm looking at intentionality with resources. I'm looking at new initiatives, right? So I want you to know that I'm looking at that through that lens. However, in order for us to get this done, and to ensure that we have, of the ask of the board, more money in our reserves and to revisit everything in its totality, we all have to stay on the same page. Because when we're looking at these budgets, and in the sense, I'm going to say right-sizing them and the district, it is a very, it's a bridge that it's a change in systems, and we know that everyone does, it's hard to change, right? And so if we're looking at these, we as a board have to stay together, and we can't say, oh, well, we shouldn't be cutting initiatives or we shouldn't be doing this because, and I'm respectfully saying this, we're saying two different things at the same time, and that confuses one, your employee, the superintendent, but it also causes chaos in the system because when I'm meeting with our staff, I'm saying my boss, the board, has tasked me to revisit this, and I don't want them to think that I'm misleading them. And I have even told them to go back and look at the board meetings and the budget meetings. And my principals know that I have told them that. And so what I need right now is I'm going to ask several questions. I think there are 6 of them. And I would just like a head nod on these. So as I move forward, our staff knows that I have been tasked with this, and it is the consensus of the board and how we are moving forward to ensure that we have more money in our reserves. So my first question is it the consensus of the board? Do you want to ensure we have more money in our reserves? That's the first question. So can you lead up, please?
Okay, can we have a head nod on that?
Absolutely.
On this side, yes? Okay, yeah.
So we have complete
When you say, Superintendent, can you clarify for me, when you say we want to have more money in our budget, are you saying based on the first budget meeting where we were going to take another roughly 40 million out of our reserves?
Yes. I want, Brian, help me here. I'm going to say yes. Yes? Right.
Okay, then I think the board's consensus was yes, we want to have more, because we saw that if that happened last year and it happened this next school year, we wouldn't have enough to continue, and there would have to, we'd hit a cliff and we'd have to drastically change things because we would have less than 40 left.
What we were
40.
concerned about was not having our resources continue to dwindle.
Yes,
And we wanted to turn it around
yes,
so that we could be back on the same footing we were on before we drew down this last.
correct.
Brian, make sure you're staying with me because, you know, we want to speak common language here, and I don't want to later on say we were saying one thing and another.
After representation of what we were.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so I want the board to know that we did have a plan, but it was going to be more gradual, and we are now taking a more aggressive plan as a result of the ask of the board. The next thing, and I know I was here during the budget meeting, we discussed ensuring that class size was at contractual capacity or close to. So my next question is, and it was the consensus of the board there when I heard, do we want to ensure that class sizes are close to the contractual capacity? We may not be able to get all the way there, but we're gonna get as close to. Is that correct?
Could you clarify, Superintendent, what you mean by contractual capacity versus the average in comparable districts?
So I'm not going to go to, because I'm not ready for that question, but what I can answer the question.
Okay.
So Mr. Riddle, you brought up that some classrooms had 12 to 15 people. And why were we holding those classrooms open when contractually it's late? And what is the number? Is it 30? What is it?
28.
28, thank you.
It
It varies based on classes. So whatever that contractual number is, we're going to try to get as close to it.
It's 28, saying roughly.
It depends. It depends on what class it is.
It depends on the program.
I can send, thank you, Ms. Fabian probably can just rattle them off right now. I will tell you, it's late for me. I cannot remember them, but I can send the board the exact numbers for all of them, and they're in our contract. So, and I did hear there was a concern that class sizes were too low. So,
I believe that was a concern of Ms. Fabian's, and other board members may share it, but I remember that she had raised that as a component. My concern with class sizes is that the more we have our younger, thank you for pulling that up. The more in our pre-K through 5 that we get closer to those numbers, for me, that's going to impact their learning. There is the balance question of, you know, should one third grade class have 28 and another have 12? That's not really fair on the teacher's load, but I'm not necessarily saying let's distribute those 12 to others to get closer to 28. My background says let's get the 28 lowered down and fill in the class of 12. I understand that's going to come at a cost, but the benefit is student learning, in my professional opinion.
Dr. Cesario, can you cite the research when we talk about class sizes and what the research states?
I've,
I know, I just,
Yeah.
I want us all to hear, because I'm going to ask that we have a vote, so you could
but
say
so
yes or
here,
no.
before we go into this research, my issue is that when looking at it, you also need to look at the students because there's this big stigma around tracking. But if you have a wide range of abilities in a classroom, that teacher, even teaching to the middle, is cutting out our high performers and not reaching the low performers. So feel free to share the study. It's not going to change my personal opinion. It may change or give insight for the rest of the community. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of asterisks that go along with this.
100%. And I want you to know, Ms. Lenzing, I preach that all the time, that we have to do a better job at scheduling, but we can't track. I understand that.
Yeah.
But we need to look at that differentiation so that that spectrum, and I'm just going to use the alphabet,
Yeah.
from A to Z.
Yeah.
Right? So I've said that, I preach that
A
all
to
the time.
M is manageable.
Right.
A to Z
I get
is
that. I'm with
out of
you
this
on
world.
that.
Okay.
However, you have to know this is going to be a price tag.
Understood.
And so
that's
if
what I
that is the
wanted to-
price tag, and maybe we won't answer this one today because I have other questions, but I need clarity on this because we're doing this work right now and we're looking at teachers to student ratios. We're looking at how many kids are in a classroom. And we can't, if we're going to get where you want in the reserves, we can't keep 10 to 12 kids in a classroom. It's not probable and still save the money that you want to save. But I'm just going to turn it over to you, Dr. Cesario, and I'm doing that just because you cited the research the other day when we went through this and we were having this discussion.
Before he said that, though, can I say something?
Ms. Fabian had her hand up first.
I just want to say that I understand Ms. Lenzing's sentiments, but we also have to understand that this contract was put together not just by the administration, the teachers also signed
Yeah,
off on this
that's what I
contract.
was gonna
And so that
say.
means the teachers are also willing and understanding that they can have a caseload of a maximum of 20, 26, and 28 students. I was there when we've had them as high as, 30 in the younger grade levels. So again, I understand your sentiments, but we need to understand that contract is written such that the teachers are also in agreement with these numbers.
Ms. Hannah, and then we're going to let Dr. Cesario speak.
Yeah, and I'm gonna piggyback off what Miss Fabian just said, because I was gonna say something similar to that, but I was gonna say that whatever, we have to abide by the contract, because if not, that's where the money comes in, where people getting paid extra for extra students in a classroom. And so we have to take into consideration all of that. Not just, well, how many students we want. We have to go by the contract.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Cesario.
Yeah, so it's on. Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of research out there, and what you said, Ms. Lenzing, is accurate. If you have a smaller number of students, it's easier to manage. But you have to differentiate regardless. I think, given the class sizes right now, there is definitely room to add on to some of these classes. Some of them are really under the number, and the piece about the contract, I don't think we have to honor the contract. But what we're trying to do is make these manageable. Right now, the classes are very small. And so if we're talking about the research, there is research that will say really the impact is 11 or fewer. And that's not feasible in a public school. And so right now, I think where our class sizes are, it's not a situation that would be untenable for any of our teachers, because we have to honor those contracts. We have to have those numbers. We've lost a significant number of students, as have other districts. When I started, I think we were over 16,000, and I think we're under 12 now. So if you think about it, the average size of our schools, 450, 500, that's a lot that's 4 schools. I mean, that's more than 4 schools, right? So these are things that we have to consider. I don't think anybody wants to take away from what we've been doing, but all the professional development, everything that we've been working towards, really is about differentiating, supporting those students, focusing on small groups. So,
Okay, I'd like to ask the superintendent to repeat her question, then I'd like to get a head nod from the board.
So the question is, do we want to ensure class sizes are at or close to the contractual capacity rate or number that's in the contract?
To clarify, that's a maximum capacity language.
Just maximum, right? We don't want to go over, right?
Understood. So when we talk about we want to honor the contract, in honoring the contract, it's not filling our classes to 28. It's making sure it doesn't go above 28. So I don't want to mix words.
I'm not trying to mix words either, Ms. Lensing. I was just saying that there are parameters that are set per the contract. And so if we exceed those numbers, then we're violating the contract.
So we'll
that's what I was saying, not to mince words.
I'm just looking here, so it says maximum, like if we look at math intervention block, it says maximum class size 25, so we can only go to 25, we can't go to 26, right? So maybe we should just say that we abide by contractual language. I'm really just looking for direction, right? So I know when I'm looking at registration and programming, I'm looking at all that.
Okay, but I think what you're saying, the point that I'd like to clarify is that you're asking if the board wants us to increase class sizes so that we are closer to the amount that we're allowed to in the contract, which would probably result in eliminating some classes and cutting some expenses. I think that's the point we're trying to make.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez, can we take that vote?
Yes. But I see that as one of many options. Okay, I would like to see I see that as one of many options, okay? In other words, it seems to me the administration can come back to us and say, here's some of the classes that were smaller. They were 10 or 12 kids, and we've raised them up to 20. Not 28, but 20. This will save us so much. Or we're going to need to cut even deeper or increase it closer if we're going to get closer to the savings that the board wants. So there could be several options among many types of options. Administration, we might reduce.
I didn't get to all my questions.
Okay.
This is just second
You
question.
see, it's not a simple yes or no, though.
But I need direction on, am I looking at that,
It's
right?
a maybe. It's an option, a maybe.
She's asking if she can restructure.
Okay, so I'd like to ask for a head nod. Are we in consensus with that?
Yes.
Agree with that?
Yes.
The next, I think the other questions are going to be really,
I'm not, but the majority of the board is.
Majority of
So
that seems to be
that's,
fair.
so I'm going to
that's
yes.
the majority of
Go with the
board.
majority.
And the odds are that we get to the exact number.
Right.
That's not going to happen in every
No,
classroom.
we don't-
So you have to know that, right?
Right.
Because we may not have enough dual language students in second grade to even get to that number. So that's something else we may have to talk about.
Right.
But that, I understand, it's going to
Right.
vary, we know that, right?
Right.
Like, it's not going to, everybody have 20, and I'm just using 25 because I use that example. Okay, now moving on.
Can we move on to the next one?
The next question is, do we want to cut duplication of services or programs that do not have the impact on student achievement and return of investment?
Yes.
Can you get a consensus?
Yes, can we have a consensus?
Yes, if it is duplication and it's not getting.
Duplication, I understand, but return on investment, I would like
The
definition,
definition of that. Okay.
clarification around.
And when we bring that back, I will. So
Okay.
return on investment is, and I
Like
brought-
a threshold, like a certain number.
So I brought up an example. I have been looking at school budgets, and so we've been looking at, I've been asking principals to give me their plan on clubs. And there may be 15 clubs, and they have 2 teachers hypothetically doing the clubs, and there's 8 students in one club. That's, if you look at that, or 5 students, right? That 2 teachers with 8 students, that's for each, there's not the interest there.
Right.
And so that's how we're looking, one thing, but there's other things there, and we'll come back and clarify that, okay?
And I think because here's the thing, we don't want it to be a tremendous lift. There's so many things to do. Is the board fine if she comes back with a rubric on how they're judging the return on investment? So we understand at a high level and we're not getting into the weeds?
Because it's
Right.
not just how many students we're impacting, but the cost of that impact, right?
Yes.
So even if a club is serving only 8 students, but it's not costing us anything, just let's say it's a teacher that's volunteering to tutor, for example, right? So we need to look at what is it costing us
That would
to
weigh
run
into the
that.
return on investment
Right.
factor.
Right.
Okay, so are we all in agreement with it? Yes?
It's not just the number of students, though, for the return of
The majority is saying yes.
Yeah, I'm giving that example, and I'm going to once again preference that I'm asking for clarity, and I just wrote this right here during we're having this meeting to get common language and understanding about what my work and the district or my team's work is as we move forward. Because I don't want to spend time somewhere and I've allocated 40 hours there and then it's, why did we cut this or why are we doing this? Here, it's public, everyone knows what we're looking at, and I have direction, and that's all I'm looking for is clarity.
Okay, we already have consensus on that. Can we move to the
Okay,
next one?
well, hold on. I do want to commend you, Superintendent, because, and I just want to say this publicly, that the club that I had asked, or the decision that I had asked about earlier about a school cutting direct services was not the administration's decision. It, based on the information that she was able to provide me, it is based on a return on investment, and it was not beneficial for the school, and it wasn't tutoring services, it was something else. So I just want to thank the superintendent because I misspoke with muddy information, and it should be clarified. So thank you for providing that
Thank
information.
you. Next item.
Okay, the next thing is, do we want to review staffing and admin overhead to right-size the district?
Yes, I think everybody understands what that means.
Yes.
Yes, we have consensus.
Next one is, do we want to review contracts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely, always.
And I put / initiatives, right? Because contracts are tied to initiatives. So is that a yes?
Yes,
Okay.
we have consensus.
Consultant.
Well, all
Not limited.
contracts are going to be looked at, Ms.
Not
Hannah,
limited.
so not just one or the other. And do we want to maximize space utilization?
Can you elaborate the intended question, like picture?
So I'll give you an example of that. This year, we looked at the Welcome Center. And we're still maintaining the Welcome Center, but we're not staffing it. We saved money on it. We're not getting the electric bills and all the overhead that we had from that. So I'm asking, I'm reviewing all facilities. Do we want to maximize space? Wait, hold on, let me put my glasses on, apologize. Do we want to maximize, or you can even use the word review, like I said, I just wrote it, meanwhile I'm here, space utilization.
What I'm picturing is that when you talk about space utilization, it's not necessarily looking to sell property, but to reorganize to make sure that the function matches. I know the Best Center has been brought up a lot recently, especially by Ms. Fabian, and it's been in conversation with several board members previously. So when you say that, my brain goes to, are we maximizing space to fit in those types of programming and what it would look like to get that done? It's not necessarily the selling of property.
And it could be, though. It could be both and.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean it's going to happen next year, but it may be that the administration comes to you and says, hey, listen, I'm not saying, we may have a recommendation, and I want to once again preference, so we don't have that. It's always a recommendation. The board has to vote on everything. So it's not like we can move ahead, right? So it may be where we are looking at selling property and we're making a recommendation, you don't need this. It may even be that we have a school that's not being utilized to capacity and has 99 students in there. Can we move those students to another school? It could be a variety of things, but we need to review it if we're looking at the overall health of the district.
Yep.
I see all the heads
Yes.
nodding. Are we all in agreement?
Yeah, and my thing is that we have decreased in our enrollment drastically. And while we are decreasing in our enrollment, student enrollment, there's another piece that's increasing. And those are the dollars that come out of our evidence-based funding for Learn Charter School. Because that has been going up. Am I right? Am I correct? It has been going up. Okay? And that is taking away from the money that we get. Huh? Right. And see, the enrollment has went up drastically. And our enrollment, while theirs are going up, ours is going down. And so that needs to be a conversation too. Where, when, I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, and I appreciate that. I'm going to ask, because I looked at the numbers and I just had this conversation with Mr. Christensen. I don't want to misquote either Mr. Christensen or myself. However, their numbers they've been impacted as well. So all the schools in the area have been impacted. The point that you made earlier about the money coming off and Mr. Vukovic made, that's accurate. But in terms of how, they were going up, they did siphon off some students, but now it's plateaued, just like it's pretty consistent with other schools. It's commensurate with that everyone's seeing a decline in enrollment. Just people are having fewer kids. But I can get you a report on that with the numbers and where it looks at. But I think the biggest issue is we didn't lose 4,000 students to learn. It was a combination of factors. And the projections, Mr. Christensen, again, I don't want to misquote him, but he had thought the last time, and I just met with them last week, he said he thought it would have plateaued by now, but it continues to gradually decrease. But it is something to contend with in terms of making sure that we're working towards efficiency and maximizing what we do have.
Because that also impacts our evidence-based funding, doesn't it, Brian?
There's state funding.
Here, do you want to? There you go.
All.
The number of students.
It does, but like Dr. Cesario said, all the districts are going down. So it's going to be relative with all the other districts as well.
There was also a report, and I don't know if it was Dr. Cesario or who, but I just read a report on how Illinois, I think, lost 30% or something of students. And so I'll get that report and send that to the board. So it's not just a Waukegan issue, it's a state issue, and it's a national issue. But I believe it was like 30+% that of students that lost enrollment in Illinois. Don't hold me to the numbers. It's 10, 20. And so I may be giving you wrong numbers, but I will get that report out. Dr. Cesar, if you can get that to Nick, that report that just came out, so the board can look at those numbers from Illinois.
We got two.
Okay, did you want to respond to these?
Yeah. So this was just a starting point, and I want to thank the board for the clarity around the work that we're doing, so that when we do get to the budget workshop next week, you're going to see that we have touched on many of these items. My ask to the board is that we're unified in this, because on all these, with the exception of class size, which was Ms. Lensing, but I know that we speak with one voice, we all agreed that this is where we're at, this is what we're looking for, and this is how we're moving forward. So you have to know as we move forward, and Ms. Lensing, I'm just going to use your example, not that anyone told you. You may hear, oh, they're cutting clubs, or they're cutting this. I'm going to ask that you ask me specifically where it is, what it is, so that we can explain. I'm also going to ask that we speak with one voice and in stating that we want to save more money in our reserves and that we are going to be conservative in our budgeting this year. And we have asked our employee to follow through on our vision and our ask around the budget, so that we are all working together. I also, before I turn, Mr. Vukovich, I just want to thank you because I believe this was, not that I was going to talk about all this in closed session, so just so you know, but I was going to speak on a cut of employee. But I want to thank you because it was a better way to handle this now because the public, our staff can see the will of the board and why we're having these conversations. So I just want to thank you for that gentle nudge and giving me the idea right here to write all that out and handle it here.
Mr. Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
We're aware of that, Mr. Vukovich, and this is not what we were going to be discussing in closed session. We had a completely different meeting planned.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovich. We cut the Baron off. He had to.
He's going to go back. He's got to get through a couple things there. But I just wanted, because we were on the budget and your ask, I thought it was a good way to segue.
And I'm just going to be very direct in translating what you had just said. So this budget, to be extremely blunt and clear, is a shared responsibility. And, you know, our superintendent put it very tactfully without calling it the duck, but essentially that's what it is. And while I have my personal opinions on class size, I do follow the majority of the board said this is what we are going to do, then this is what we are going to do. If there are different opportunities in the future that allow for an avenue to say, hey, maybe we revisit this, then that is the point in which I would voice concerns. So while, yes, I disagree with our approach on class size, I will support the decision of the board because, to your point, we need a clear direction to go in, and it's not fair for you to be scattered, and it's not fair for just you and your administration to share the budget burden. It's all of us.
Ms. Fabian.
Can I add to that, when you're looking at the staffing needs, is also looking at how many vacancies there are so that when we are collapsing class sizes, we are seeing how many vacancies we can eliminate, because it's not always that we're eliminating a specific staff member. There are a lot of vacancies that we have, and there are a lot of substitutes that we have. And so I always feel a qualified certified teacher is going to be the best person standing in front of our students in lieu of a long-term sub. So I think we also need to look at that, right? Of how many less, I don't know how to phrase that, how many less subs and less vacancies we will have, and then our students will be fully staffed with certified teachers in front of them. Because I also don't want teachers to feel like, okay, now we're just cutting everybody or paras or whoever. That's not what's happening. No. We also know that we have a lot of vacancies and that we have a lot of subs. So to take that all into account.
Good point.
Thank you. Okay, do we need to move on then?
Yes, we just have a few items left for you. So the next item is the renewal of the Network Technology Innovations Service Agreement. This is the service agreement for our video surveillance systems throughout the district. The monthly installments are there.
Mr. Moten, is that both inside and outside the building, right? The video, both inside and we have some outside?
Yes, all surveillance,
all our systems.
Internal, external. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item D is the Westlaw Publishing. This item is a AI as well as a research tool for our legal office. And Ms. Vanderbroek's team is proposing a 3-year agreement here for $28,000 for access to this. Information is attached under executive content for your review. Right. And we do have some reports for you this evening. First is a child nutrition RFP update. This is confidential information, but it is there for the board's review. Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, yep.
I know Ms. Fabian sent a number of questions. Did we get those responded and back to the board today?
No. I did not receive that response.
I sent it to you, Mr. Moulton, but it's okay because it was like late, like midday, like after 2, I believe 1 or 2, and you may have been in meetings, and I know you had that. So we need to get her questions answered, and we need to give them to all of the board by tomorrow, please.
Yeah, we'll get that.
So that they
feedback.
can make an informed vote.
And just for transparency, my major concern is that the executive content does not include full information that we need in order to make an adequate, informed decision. Because we have been very specific in our requests, but we don't see any of that information.
Can I
So
also,
if
can
you
I?
can check that email.
Yeah, can I also ask the board, you have not seen Ms. Fabian's questions, but if there are questions that you feel were not answered with the executive content, if you could please forward me your questions also. Please put me and Nick on them. Nick is on vacation. If you can get those to us by tomorrow or Tuesday so that we can get you guys that information so you also can make an informed decision.
Clarifying tomorrow or Thursday? You're fine. To your point, 10:20.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
I know, I was just going with the first one. Shush.
Thank you. Our next report is a committee update from the committees that took place during the last school year. Information is attached for your review. And then we do have our financial reports. And that concludes our items.
Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Motion by Ms. Lenzing. Second by Ms. Hannah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Operational Services Committee meeting is adjourned. Now I would like to ask for a motion to go back into open session. Go
Moved.
out of recess, go into open session.
So
Moved
moved.
by Ms. Lenzing, second by Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Fabian? Yes. Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Mr. McBride? Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
And President Rodriguez?
Yes, motion carried. We are now in open session. The reason we have to do this is that we did not adjourn open session. We just went into, what's the word I'm looking for?
What was the term?
So we're doing closed?
It's late.
yeah, it's late. We
To
basically.
be fair, we haven't had a late one in a long time.
At this point.
Recess.
Recess, that's the word.
Yeah, so now we're
Recess.
going to
We're in
close.
recess. Now we're going to close.